Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast. Here's your host, Logan Bailey.
Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast, football edition, brought to you by primary sponsor BSN Sports. I'm your host, Logan Bailey, and joined today by Keith Brown, AJ Fairchild, and Tony Fairchild. So, guys, thanks for joining me again today on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Red hoodie day.
And you guys all matched. I guess I didn't get the memo here.
Yeah, I didn't get a memo. We're all got new gear. We're sporting it. And Logan doesn't show up on the right stuff.
I guess. Keith's back from the dead, so, I mean, he's getting to 100%.
Lord,
but
yes, about 70% of my normal 100% self, but getting better every day. But boy, oh boy, I missed literally a week of my life last week. And, yeah, hopefully everybody stays healthy this upcoming winter season because it's way too early to get sick.
That was bad, huh?
It was awful. That's worse I've felt in probably 3 decades.
Say, if it puts into perspective, Keith Brown missed some Friday night football.
Yeah, right.
I know, that's saying something.
Absolutely.
Especially during the playoffs.
Yeah,
Right.
no kidding.
Definitely.
But,
Got to be sick. That's why I was surprised when I heard that Logan was
know.
going alone last week. I was like, oh, my gosh, he must really be sick.
Yeah, that's all good. I told Keith, I said, you didn't miss much because I was videoing the entire time. So
Yeah.
I talked to Cade Bidlack was there, and then talked to some other guys on the sideline. Met another guy videoing too. So it's always the cool thing about playoff games is getting a network with all kinds of people and make new connections. So that was pretty cool. And I was at the Fairview Ottawa Hills game, and first time I was at Ottawa Hills, and pretty impressed with the facility. And I had some old school turf. I sent you guys a picture, and I like the colors though. It's definitely green and vibrant, and pretty neat, and definitely a great facility. And they had a heck of a football team as well. Obviously, they came up with a win against Fairview, and we'll get into that game here in a little bit. Yeah. But you guys were at Liberty Center and Liberty Benton, so
Yeah, so it was everything I thought it was going to be. It was a really good game. And again, we'll get into it in the recaps, but just a battle there at first. And but I got to tell you something. I'm super disappointed. We went there to see the strobe lights, and they didn't do it.
I know. That was a big thing a lot of people were talking about is they were all excited for the halftime
Columbus
show
Grove
of the
did
lights.
it.
But
Columbus Grove was doing it, but Liberty Center couldn't do it. I guess we talked to Mark and the boys before the game, and AG had his drone there. He was going to try to get some pictures like at halftime and stuff, and they said, nope, can't have them.
Yeah.
The OHSAA says no drones at all, and so we went and put it back in the truck, and they said something about everybody kept telling us, well, they'll do it. They won't do it on touchdowns, but they'll do it after halftime. In halftime, as the boys come back out on the field, they'll do it. He goes, everybody gets into it. The stands get into it. And the boys come back out on the field, and we're standing there like, no way. And I think they did it because OHSAA says you're not allowed to do it. But I saw Columbus Grove did it after a touchdown.
Columbus Grove was awesome. They
after
had
a touchdown. So
Well, I think I was told that they were told the previous week that they were not allowed to do it because they had an OHSA rep actually at the game week 1 playoffs.
Yeah.
And they were told that is not allowed because they need to act as a neutral site since
no,
they're
you
hosting
don't need to
playoffs.
act as a neutral site. OHSAA. You want people to host. They get to do what they want.
I
That's
said
what
that's the
they were
thing.
told.
If you're hosting, you're going to be able to do whatever
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
That's the whole perk of earning a home playoff.
Exactly
game.
right.
You can do whatever you want. You got lights, you might as well play them because
I
Columbus
understand.
Grove's atmosphere was unbelievable, and playing AC/DC with the red lights, and so that gave me chills watching that video. And oh man, if you get a chance, definitely go check out some of these facilities with the lights. We are talking. Columbus Grove has some, and they have the colored lights, which that's pretty rare for the area. Liberty Center has some. Bryan, I believe, has strobe lights too.
They do.
I think and then Wapakoneta. I'm trying to think of. I think that's some of the main ones around the area. They're pretty limited. Obviously they're pretty expensive. So but yeah, get a chance to go watch some of those because it's pretty exciting.
Totally bummed though. I wanted to see that and didn't get to see it. Even Shelby, our friend over there at the Liberty Center, she comes over. She's like, I don't understand. I don't know. Kind of stunk, but yeah, to me that's the reason you get a home playoff game. You get that way you get to do that kind of thing. That's the whole. You're at home. That's your atmosphere.
No, I agree.
So I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll look at how we did for last week's picks, and we'll get things going here. So last week it was a 3-way tie between Tony, AJ, and Matthew. They all finished the week with an 8-1 record. Pretty solid out of those guys. Fourth was myself, Logan, with a 7-2 record, and fifth was Keith with a 6-3 record. So Tony, AJ, I'll give you guys the spotlight since you're here. What kind of led to some of your picks and your success last week?
I don't know. Just kind of the games kind of lined up. Napoleon. Really thought they had a good chance against Bay, and obviously they proved that, shut them out. Other than that, it's just
looking at some of the games too, the OG and Shelby game, supposedly I think they lost their starting center early in the game. Their quarterback, I guess, was injured, or he had been dealing with like a torn labrum, I guess is what I was told too. So he was kind of banged up, and there was a third player that was a significant role in their team. He was also injured too. So I heard, if those three guys weren't banged up, I mean, they may have had a little bit better shot. I mean, they only lost 14-26. So
I think they had the lead midway through the third quarter.
Yeah.
It was 14-6.
so
I
definitely
believe.
battling some injuries, and that's the thing too. I mean, the healthy teams towards the end of the year and the teams that have depth are the ones that make deep playoff runs. So, and that's just the kind of the factor that you have to look at things, especially when you get to come playoff time.
Which on that point, we get down to the sidelines of Liberty Center game, and they were talking about this is the healthiest Liberty Center has been at this point in the season, and hopefully they stay that way. Part of that comes from they've only played about half the quarters they could,
Right.
So that helps keep the
Well,
longevity.
knock on wood, because didn't Waylon Rentz get hurt pretty late in the season? I think
About
in the
About this
regional
time
last
frame.
year,
I think
about
the
the same
regional
time.
finals.
Yep.
So I mean, he was definitely a good contributor last year as a junior, and so hopefully all these teams stay healthy, because you want to see everyone's best. But we know the game of football, you're bound to get injuries and you're bound to lose some of your starters. So hopefully we get the best out of every team. Going on the year, myself, Logan, remains in first with a record of 174-41, good for 81%, with a 2-game lead on Matthew in second with 172-43 record, good for 80%. Third is Tony's climbed his way up the ranks, 166-49 record, good for 77%. Fourth is AJ with a record of 165-50, good for 77%. And in fifth is Keith with a record of 163-52, good for 76%. So still a tight race, but Keith, what's going on, man? Usually you're top three all
He
the
was
time.
sick last week. He couldn't.
I know.
Last week I took a couple flyers on, trying to get back into the race. Didn't work out, so.
I don't know. We'll see down the stretch. Maybe we'll pick up a couple here and there. So, all right. Well, let's get into Week 12 game recaps, and we're going to start things off with the NWO Sports Game of the Week, and that's the 6-seed Fairview traveled to the 3-seed Ottawa Hills, and Ottawa Hills was victorious with a 45-20 win. I was at this game myself, covering it. At halftime, Ottawa Hills was up 24-6. Total offense for the game, Ottawa Hills had 413 yards with 241 rushing. Fairview had 369 yards with 331 passing. Turnovers, Ottawa Hills had 1 fumble. Fairview had 3 with 2 interceptions and 1 fumble. Some top players of note: wide receiver Logan Olinger, 12 receptions, 188 receiving yards, 4 carries, and he also had 3 rushing yards with 2 rushing touchdowns. A lot of the times when they got there in the goal line, he was their answer. They kind of threw him in I guess you could call it a wildcat formation, and he just ran the ball in. But I tell you what, Logan Olinger, seeing him play and really getting a focus on him, he is a truly special player. His kid's just a sophomore, but he had a great diving catch early at the end of the first quarter to set him up at goal with 1 or 2 yards to go, and he ended up running it in. But he was making catches all night long. I mean, there's a reason he had 12 receptions. He was getting open. He's making moves. He's just a very, very talented kid, and like I said, just a sophomore. That entire sophomore class is very, very talented. Quarterback Will Zedike was 20 of 37, 54%, 331 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions came kind of late. At the end of the game, Fairview was kind of getting desperate, trying to throw up the ball, try to move it down the field. So that was kind of one of those interceptions marked up to that. Wide receiver Jesse Kuhlman, 4 receptions, 57 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. He started the game off early on with a receiving touchdown there to help Fairview get going. Linebacker Brett Grind, I didn't have defensive stats, but he really stood out to me on the defense. I know he's a second-team all-conference GMC linebacker, but this kid played really, really hard, and I liked his leadership on the field. He really brought a lot of energy, too, so just wanted to give him a shout-out. I was pretty impressed with his play on the defensive side of the ball. And then from Ottawa Hills, I know they're a little bit out of our coverage area, but the Pillarelli boys of Rocco at running back and Reddick at wide receiver were absolute studs on Friday night. Rocco at running back, he's not very big. I don't know what his listed sizes on the depth chart, or on the roster. I would say he's got to be maybe 5'6", 5'7", maybe $150. I mean, he's not big at all, but I mean, he ran the ball very, very well, and he ran hard too. So I was really shocked at him. I mean, just looking at the guy on the sideline, I would not expect him to go out there and run the ball like a horse, and he did. And then his, I don't know if I'm assuming they've got to be brothers. Reddick, actually, if you see some of the highlight videos I posted on Facebook, he was tearing things up. He had, I believe, 2 touchdown receptions. He is, again, probably one of the better wide receivers in all of Northwest Ohio. Very, very talented. He's a good-sized kid. I believe he's probably 6'1", 6'2". He tore things up, and he was just really, really good football player. So wanted to give those guys a shout-out. So, guys, thoughts on the Fairview at Ottawa Hills game?
I listened to this one when I was trying to flip around and watch as many games as I could since I was anchored to the couch for about 7 days. But Friday kind of had the red zone going on. I had radio, TV, computer all lined up. So this was one of the games I was kind of listening to on the bowl. But Fairview got behind. Actually, the end of the third quarter, I think they closed it to 31-20. Yeah. And they just scored and recovered an onside kick, and I thought, well, here we go again. Yep. Fairview's going to get right back into it, but a couple of turnovers late there in the middle of the fourth quarter, and this wasn't meant to be. But hats off to Coach Rakes and the Fairview boys. They're going to be a tough team to beat. Looking forward to next year, but fantastic season by Fairview and everybody, players, coaches, and whatnot, but. For Ottawa Hills, they just keep rolling along, and it seems like those Pillarelli boys have played there for 6 years, doesn't it?
They have. I feel, again, that's like you talk about names and programs. The Crew's name at Liberty Center continues to live on. Yeah. You have the triplets, now you have their younger brother. The Pillarelli boys, I mean, yeah, they've been stars on that team. I know we don't cover them, but you always kind of hear that name thrown around too. But, yeah, Keith, I mean, I agree with the points that you made. Just could not get things going, even from the start. They missed an extra point, so they were down right away 1 point, and at that point, you're just playing catch up the entire game. So that was tough. And then, they just kind of struggled. I mean, things just did not fall in their way. And I think the big turning point in this game came in the second quarter, and I believe it was about halfway or early into the second quarter. And Fairview turned the ball over with a fumble on, I believe, like their own 40-yard line, and Ottawa Hills ended up turning it into 6 points and scoring a touchdown, I believe. And, that was when, Ottawa Hills really took a strong hold of the game. But, it was just tough luck and tough break after tough break for Fairview. And, I definitely think that Fairview could have won this game. I don't think the score necessarily does it justice. But I think it's just one of those things we saw Tenora a lot just shoot themselves in the foot. Yep. And, they take 1 step forward, 2 step back type deal. And, it was just tough. I mean, and when you get to the playoffs, any little mistake is amplified. And that fumble, I think, in the second quarter was certainly that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you said the one interception came late, so you get 2 turnovers in a game, and they're drive killers. As you're driving the ball and you get the turnover and it kills the drive, and we'll talk about how that affected Liberty Benton here in a minute. But those turnovers kill you. They kill drives, and gives momentum back the other side, and always turnovers are always bad, especially as you get into the playoffs. You're facing really good teams that will capitalize on mistakes normally.
Yeah, and the first interception, I don't remember when exactly it came, but it was pretty impressive. Kid from Ottawa Hills kind of tipped it up, and I think he caught it himself. Made a really nice play on it. But anytime you can pick off Will Zedike, I mean, that's a heck of a read because he's one of the best quarterbacks in Northwest Ohio. So just some other points, too, I wanted to bring up. From the game before. So Brody Williams obviously plays for Fairview, and he had won our Player of the Week from, I don't remember which week 8, I think it was, or something like that.
The one where he did the fake
punt and all that.
Through the ball.
So I get there early. I always like showing up to games really early because I like watching teams warm up. I like talking to coaches. I like talking to people. And I go up to him and find him, and the kids are yelling, "Brody, come over," because I just want to get a picture with him. And he goes, "Whoa, you're a lot bigger in person than I thought." I was like, "Well, I did play college football and I played offensive line," so I just thought that was kind of funny because he's kind of looking me up and down. But that was funny. But no, he's very, very good kid and very appreciative. All those kids from Fairview were very welcoming too, and all the coaches too. Got to talk to a couple coaches before and after the game, so that was great to see too. But it was also great seeing some different coaching legends there. Coach Craig McCord there was coaching up special teams, and so he was there, and then Coach Bob Olin was on the sidelines too. So Coach Rakes coached, I believe, under him right at Fairview when Coach O was there, and so that was cool to see. And but yeah, I mean, it's great to see everyone kind of rally around some of the local teams too. So
absolutely.
Well, that's something I was going to talk about with the offenses. We talked about Eden coming in there and playing Ottawa Hills a couple weeks ago, and they got absolutely shut down. Ottawa Hills shut them down pretty easily, it seemed like, against an 0-1 offense. And Fairview, that's pretty much where they get their offensive schemes from. That's where Coach Rakes kind of borrowed a lot of same mentalities. So Fairview got to come in there running pretty much the same thing Eden did and actually put up a decent amount of points, showed what they're actually capable of against a team that already had prepared for this game 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to the next game, and we are looking at the 7-seed Liberty Benton at the 2-seed Liberty Center. Liberty Center ended up winning this one 35-0. Some people are calling this the Liberty Bowl, so I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't know. I guess I never thought of it as a nickname, so that name was thrown around quite a bit. And this was actually the first time Liberty Benton's offense has been shut out in 6 years. The last time was in 2018, and Liberty Benton has always had one of the more prolific offenses in Northwest Ohio. So credit goes out to Liberty Center's defense and defensive coordinator Matt Bryan. I just wanted to bring up a couple of these points. So through 12 games this season, the Tigers' defense is giving up just 3.5 points per game on defense. I'm going to say that again, 3.5 points on defense. And is among the top in the state, and you add in 7 shutouts to that. So for comparison, we know how good the 2023 Liberty Center Tigers were, okay? They made it to state championship, all that. For comparison, Liberty Center's defense through 12 games last season, they only gave up 6.25 points per game on defense and 4 shutouts. So they're literally,
double
defense is
good.
Improved, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was unbelievable to see that defense could even improve even more. So, shout out to those guys. Halftime score, Liberty Center was up 21-0 on Liberty Benton. Total offense, Liberty Center had 412 yards with 410 rushing. Run that rock, baby. Liberty Benton had 264 yards with 178 passing. Turnover battle, Liberty Center had 1 fumble. Liberty Benton had 5 with 2 fumbles and 3 interceptions. So some top players from Liberty Center. Running back and linebacker, Waylon Rentz, 13 carries, 231 rushing yards, good for 17.8 yards a carry. 2 rushing touchdowns. He did have 1 fumble, but he had 12 tackles and 3 tackles for loss with 1 sack on defense. And I believe the 12 tackles led the team. Running back Garrison Cruz, 8 carries, 150 rushing yards, 18.8 yards a carry with 2 rushing touchdowns. So those 2 are just absolutely running the heck out of the football. And Grady Miller, Cam Colley, Garrison Cruz each had an interception on defense. So I'm going to leave this up to Tony and AJ since you guys were there for a coverage game. So what were your guys' kind of thoughts on this game?
Well, initially, Liberty Benton just kind of came out and kind of shot themselves in the foot over and over again. And I really thought this game was going to be closer, and we were looking at it, and I kind of point out to AJ, Liberty Center had a 7-0 lead at the first quarter. Normally, Liberty Center blows people out in the first quarter,
right,
and they were only up 7-0. So, to me, at the end of the first quarter, Liberty Benton's all over this game, especially since they had a bad snap that went over the punter's head, and then later on they had a snap that rolled between his legs, and they lost 2 yards on the kick. I'm just thinking, man, as bad as they're playing, and they're only down 7-0 because they got down inside the 20. I think right on the goal line. I think it's when Colley picked off the first pass. It was like I think it was 4th down, and they picked off a pass.
Something like that, 3rd, 4th.
Ran it out to about the 30, and then I think Cruz fumbled it a couple plays later, gave it right back to him. This is right before halftime. But, it was then I think Liberty Benton got shut down again on a 4th down and inside the 20. He threw another pick, but I'm not sure the quarterback's name. But for Liberty Benton, that quarterback, if he's supposed to be all that, he was having an off night.
Yeah,
AJ and I talked about that all night.
Big overthrown ball, like not even catchable. A lot of open passes that just did not connect.
Yeah, he threw some of them out. Almost in the stands,
sidelines, so.
Just throwing them bad. And a couple plays, Liberty Center took advantage of a kid out there 1-on-1, and he was burnt, and the Liberty Benton kid had no choice but to literally tackle the Liberty Center kid to prevent the open pass, and so they got a pass interference penalty. But just Liberty Center flies to the football defensively. When you looked up, you see it happening, and then I started really paying attention to it and looking around, and like the guy gets wrapped up, and then next thing you know, you look around, and there's literally maybe 2 or 3 people not on top of that pile or near that pile. Just crazy how they fly to the football, and it almost got to the point where, AJ and I were kind of joking that the kid didn't want to take the second hit. He'd get wrapped up, and you'd see him he's looking to see where it's coming from already. But just to get to watch Liberty Center and play, live, that team's good. That team's really good. They just move in unison, man. Their offensive line is so coordinated. When they run the ball to the right, the whole line just goes, and it's their second level. There was guys driving people 15, 20 yards downfield, and but defensively, Garrison Cruz came through there. He got banged up on a play, come out, was kind of limping. He was kind of pointing at his knee. I don't know if he took a helmet off the knee or what, but he kind of come off limping. And this is when Liberty Center was up 28-0. Late was in the 4th quarter, and he comes off, he's limping, and the next thing you know, Muller puts him back in the game. And I looked at AJ, I'm like, what are you doing? Don't put the kid, you're up 28-0. This game's in hand. Don't put him back out there and get him hurt. 2 plays later, he tackles a kid and literally comes around and he punches the ball and punches the ball out. And Liberty Center recovered a fumble.
Crazy.
And Rentz runs it in for a touchdown, I think.
And he goes, and I guess that's why he's in there.
I guess that's why he went in. But Liberty Center just, I mean, I think the game didn't, like you kind of mentioned, I don't think the score reflected. Liberty Benton played as bad as you could possibly play against a really, really good team. I don't know. I think that the outcome's not different because Liberty Center just physically beat him up later in the second half. But
I think you take some of those big errors on Liberty Benton's side, which granted, the bad snap on the first punt didn't cost them anything.
Yeah.
Because they came out and got a good shutdown against Liberty Center's high-power offense, just 4 and out on a fumble that they got on the 18-yard line.
Yeah, didn't score.
But it seemed like the entire game, I was kind of telling Keith about this before the show started, it almost seemed like Liberty Center's entire defensive mantra was, we're going to play 5 yards off of you and let you just have that underneath stuff, let you move the ball, and then when we get down to the red zone, we don't have to cover as much room and we'll stop you. Because they had the ball in the red zone 3, 4, 5 times and never got a point out of it because they just kept getting stuffed. As soon as they got within about the 25 to 20-yard line, everything just came to a grinding halt. Bad throws started happening, picks started happening, things like that. It was wild to see the difference from when they're out in midfield, how the defense was giving up so many yards to when they got into the red zone, just done. It was wild to see that. And I don't know if that was their game plan or if that's just how it worked out. But, we kind of talked about a couple weeks ago with the fumbles and the turnovers and stuff like that with Columbus Grove versus Patrick Henry and Liberty Center versus Patrick Henry. Liberty Center definitely caused a lot of those turnovers. The picks, 2 of them were absolutely earned. Yep. One of them, I think, was just kind of a thrown-up ball trying to make something happen. The fumbles, absolutely. You used to talk Garrison Cruz coming in there, hand right on the ball, punched it out, textbook fumble. And then, there was another one in the pile where I'm not even sure who it was, came in, face mask right on the ball, popped that ball out, and it went shooting across the field, and they ended up getting that one too. So the turnovers weren't necessarily just Liberty Benton doing poorly. It was Liberty Center just playing some mean football and clean too. I know there was issues last year about hits or anything like that, but this game was as clean as you could get and physical in the best way possible.
Yeah, very, very physical game. And I told AJ, I said the one thing I am going to do tonight is give a shout out to the Liberty Center cheerleaders. Dude, they're into the game. They're not cheering. Awesome. They're into the game. They were going crazy when Liberty Center scored. I told him the second time they scored, I'm like, dude, these cheerleaders are going nuts. They were excited that they scored. Not awesome. Just standing there doing the cheerleader thing, right? They were actually getting crazy and getting into the game. So I like that cheerleader crowd. They were awesome.
Yeah, good environment. Sad that we didn't get to see the lights, but still one of the best environments that I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, they had cars parked everywhere. I don't know. I heard them. I don't know. Third quarter, I think they mentioned some guy's name. You're driving a gray something. You need to get your car. Your car's parked illegally and will be towed by the sheriff's department. I think it was.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm thinking, well, you better find your car and get it out of there. But
one of my friends is from the Liberty Center area. He dropped his kids off to the game 5:45, and the parking lot was completely full. They were parking all the way down the street already. We got there just before 5:30, and we're parked out in the farther parking lot.
Closer to 5, I think.
And it was starting to fill up.
We had to stop at Grandma's store there before. Of course, get some cookies.
So they bring the house when they play football. It's awesome to see the Friday Night Lights atmosphere over there.
But it's going to take. You mentioned Edison being a physical team. It's going to take a physical team to beat Liberty Center.
Oh, I agree.
And it's going to take a deep rostered physical team to beat them too.
They're just. I mean, like I said, they just play. They're well coached. Hats off to the coaching staff there. Those kids know what they're supposed to be doing. I never really saw people out of position. They were all just. They looked very, very choreographed.
Yep.
So hats off to the coaching staff.
I don't think I have anything else. You guys covered that very well. Keith, do you have any comments? No. I mean, I think you guys did a very good in-depth analysis of the game. So, I think you covered about everything. So, that's a good thing, I guess, about, we talked about hating to split up, but it's nice we get to, talk a little bit more in depth about a couple of games when you're actually there and you get to witness it in person. So, All right, well, let's move on to the next game. And you talk about Liberty Center being a very well-coached team. This team coming up next is just the same, and that's the 8-seed Lima Central Catholic at the 1-seed Columbus Grove. Columbus Grove won this game 38-6. At halftime, Columbus Grove was up 24-0. And we just talked about, Liberty Center's defense being solid. Columbus Grove's isn't too far behind. Columbus Grove's defense has been solid all year, giving up just 10.1 points per game. Their offense is averaging 41.8 points per game, so definitely one of the top offenses in the area as well. So shout out just to a couple of guys. Defensive coordinator Andrew Coles and offensive coordinator Trey Roney have done an absolute tremendous job. And guys like those guys on Columbus Grove's coaching staff are an absolute dream for a head coach. And I know we've heard Coach Andy Schaefer say it before, and I'm sure he'll tell everyone again that he appreciates, those guys and the efforts that they do, and it makes his life a lot easier. So,
Right.
Obviously Coach Schaefer, was dealing with some things, off the field and with family, and those guys really stepped up and were able to help him out a lot. And, just anytime you can put together a great core group of coaches like Liberty Center, like Columbus Grove, that's how you build dynasties. And we're seeing it. Like, look at all the postseason play and all the conference championships that we've seen Liberty Center and Columbus Grove put up over the last couple of years. And, that's definitely a testament to a couple things. They're coaches, players, and the community. And we talk about those two programs a lot. Columbus Grove and Liberty Center are very similar in those aspects. So, again, just a shout-out to the Columbus Grove coaching staff. And shout-out to Ned, too. Ned Stetschulty. Again, I was there Friday at the Fairview and Ottawa Hills game, and he's sending me updates and texting me, and I said, that's awesome. The amount that he goes through to make it easier to put stats out there. I was telling Keith, too, he's already sent a game preview, very in-depth of all the stats and analytics for next week's opponent for Columbus Grove.
Oh, geez.
And he just does a great job. I said, how awesome this would be if every single team did that. And,
oh my gosh,
we could talk about all these different points, and it's just amazing what he does as well. So shout out to Ned, too. But we're going to look at a couple other things. Total yards for this game, Columbus Grove had 357, 229 rushing. LCC had 167 yards with 99 rushing. Turnovers for the game, Columbus Grove had 1 fumble. LCC had 2 fumbles. Penalties, Columbus Grove had 4 for 30 yards, and LCC had 3 for 20. Some top players for Columbus Grove. Running back Trent Barraza, 23 carries, 225 rushing yards, good for 9.8 yards a carry with 2 rushing touchdowns. Quarterback Kyle Hopkins, 6 of 8, 75%, 128 passing yards. He had 2 passing touchdowns, 3 carries for 10 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown, good for 3 total touchdowns. I just want to say, way for Kyle to step up. And like I said weeks ago, the success in the postseason in terms of offense and really the team in general is going to rely on Kyle Hopkins' hands. And he stepped up. That's exactly what he needed to do. And I think because of that, I really do. I think Columbus Grove is just going to be just fine. And everyone keeps throwing it around until they match up with Marion Local. I really do. I don't think there's a team in the state besides Marion Local that can match up with Columbus Grove right now. They're playing very, very good football, offense, defense, and they answered the big question was, can whoever the quarterback at the time, and now it's Kyle Hopkins, step up and fill the shoes of Landon Best? And Kyle Hopkins has done that. So, just give that young man a shout out. So great job, Kyle. Wide receiver Trevin Baxter, 4 receptions, 96 receiving yards with 2 receiving touchdowns. So, guys, thoughts on the LCC at Columbus Grove game?
Keith, you want to take it away?
Yeah, it just seems like, especially the last 6 or 8 weeks, Columbus Grove just jumps on top of his opponents and quick. Like when we were going through our scores at halftime, like when AJ's updating our scores, it's just like Columbus Grove 21-0 after the first quarter. So they're just jumping on top of opponents, and especially against a LCC team that they played in week 8, I believe, or 9.
Yeah, I believe.
So they really didn't have that many weeks. It's pretty much the same game plan. Obviously, Columbus Grove discovered a lot more weaknesses since they played them, just a few weeks earlier, and they exploited that quite a bit. And hats off to Columbus Grove, as Logan said. Kyle Hopkins took the reins after Best went down, and he's just been it's like a floor general for a basketball team. Like, he's just distributing the ball where it needs to go, not really putting up gaudy stats. He's just doing what Coach Schaefer and the offense needs him to do, just win, and that's what they're doing, winning handily.
Yeah, realistically, just kind of taking some weight off of Barraza's shoulders, so he doesn't have to be the only one doing everything. He's still putting up fantastic numbers as well, but it shows that Hopkins can air the ball out, get things drawn away from, they can't stack 9 guys in the box because Kyle can make them pay for it. And I mentioned last week about teams playing twice in a single season, and I said Columbus Grove is kind of the exception to that. I think Columbus Grove, they beat Bluffton twice in the same year last year. And I thought they were going to do the same thing this year, beating LCC a second time. And not only did they beat them a second time, but they absolutely shut them down. And fantastic to see whatever they're doing over there on the coaching staff and the game film they're watching. Absolutely fantastic.
And just real quick, the first game between LCC and Columbus Grove came in week number 9, and that score, Columbus Grove only won 28-20. This time it was 38-6. So definitely, took some. I'm sure they really took a deep dive into film study and looked at where can we improve at when we play them again, and they did just that. So.
Definitely. And, one of your talking points here, Logan, is, you talked about Kyle Hopkins stepping up, and, how much better would they be have they had Landon Best? You know what I mean?
I know.
Just, he's an awesome athlete, and you put him back out there where you can use him and let Landon Best do his thing, and now you're really taking some pressure off of, Barraza. And,
right.
They're putting up record numbers now, in my opinion. They're just going crazy with their offense, and their starting quarterback, all Ohio quarterbacks on the bench.
Yeah.
He's hurt.
That's the thing you look at, and that's why I want to bring up that point. So Kyle Hopkins was one of their top receivers, when Best was quarterback. So not only are you lose a top wide receiver, but, you're down basically another star on your offense. So, I think that's the thing that's interesting to contemplate is, how much better could they be?
So you bringing that up, I feel like we're living in the twilight zone, because something similar happened last year, if I remember right, at PH, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Lincoln Krieger steps into the role, great receiver, steps into the role, leads them to the state semifinals, right? And guess who they matched up against? Marion Local. So the same thing could be happening here if everything's working out the way they got a wide receiver playing quarterback, and they're just, and PH did the same thing last year, just started kicking everybody's butt and never missed a beat. And, we talked about Coach I having one of his best coaching performances ever, having to make that switch with the other injuries that they had last year. And here we are doing the same thing with Columbus Grove. It's just kind of like, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Come into the
see
season thinking what you've got going for you, and then things change.
Yeah.
It's never the same in the season as it is preseason.
Yeah. We always talk about, kids, getting hurt, and then it's next man up. It's so many kids think, I shouldn't say so many. There's a lot of kids out there that think, the world revolves around them when they're the quarterback or they're the running back. And, you try to humble them a little bit, like, listen, if you get hurt tomorrow, we're going to play Friday night, right? They're not going to cancel the season because you got hurt, right? We're going to go play Friday night. We're going to have to find somebody to fill those shoes. And, Kyle Hopkins, Lincoln Krieger last year doing the same thing. Just, that's hats off to those guys stepping up and filling those shoes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
One last thing I just want to give out is a shout out to the Oline and Dline. Again, they've been tearing things up offensively, defensively, and you cannot go without giving those guys credit. I don't know everyone who plays both ways for them, but eventually I'll find out when we go see them play, and I'll make sure I mention each and every one of their names because those guys really deserve it, and I like giving those guys credit a lot. Yep. So I know Kylan Mays is one of them. He was the Defensive Player of the Year for the NWC conference, so I know he's tearing things up each and every week. And that's the thing too; it's hard to gauge how well. Obviously, you can tell by the reflection of the score and the stats, but there's no individual stats for offensive line, and we don't ever really get defensive stats other than like interceptions or some kind of touchdown or fumble recovery. So, a lot of times you don't necessarily know right away how many tackles or, defensive stats, but you definitely know for Columbus Grove, the guys on the O-line and D-line in the trenches are doing their job, and they're doing it very well. So
the only stat you have for O-line and D-line was that Ayersville that gives out the chocolate milk.
Yeah,
Coach Mickey. Yeah.
So they get chocolate milk,
Chocolate milk for pancakes. Or is it did they rush? I think they rush over so many yards.
Yeah,
so.
something like that.
But, because pancakes aren't a official stat for football. I don't think so, at least. I don't think there's such things. So. But, all right, we're going to move on to the next game. We're looking at the 12-seed Cary headed to the 4-seed Patrick Henry. Patrick Henry won this one 24-0. At halftime, Patrick Henry was up 21-0 on Cary. Total yards for the game, Patrick Henry had 336 with 227 rushing. Cary held just to 123 yards and only 63 yards rushing. We saw Cary play. We saw Cary play against Tenora the week before, so that is pretty impressive out of that defense. Turnovers, Patrick Henry had 0. Cary had 1 fumble. Some top players from Patrick Henry. Quarterback Lincoln Krieger, 5 of 10, 50%, 109 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 22 carries for 150 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 total touchdowns for the game. I saw one of the highlights of his rushing touchdown. It looked like an absolute beast out there. He flexed a little bit at the end, and I absolutely loved it. He's tearing things up, and that guy is he's a great football player. Wide receiver Lane Jackson, 3 receptions, 50 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. I believe Lane came on our kickoff show too, so good to see Lane get some success there and get a touchdown reception to help him out. Defensive lineman Grant Smith, again, I think he's one of the best, if not the best in Northwest Ohio. Kid's just a junior, but 13 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 4 sacks. He's got a lot of potential. And then just to list a couple guys from Cary, because we saw Cary play the week before against Sonora. Running back Eli Steen, which we had seen against Sonora, had a terrific game. I believe he rushed for, close to probably 200
yards,
rushing yards or so.
Around there.
12 carries, 38 rushing yards, 3.2 yards a carry. And quarterback Kyler Bowes, just to show that they threw the ball a little bit, 5 of 12, 60 passing yards. But a couple talking points I just wanted to bring up, guys. First, Lincoln Krieger and postseason play. And I just said, kid is a beast. And I made the comparison, how they call Reggie Jackson Mr. October. Well, Lincoln Krieger is Mr. November, because you saw, Tony, you brought up what he did last year.
Right.
He was playing wide receiver. They convert him over to quarterback. Similar situation to what Grove is going through this year, but has been on a terror spell for teams. I mean, he's been tearing things up on offense. I know he's getting, I think, recruited primarily more for the college level and the defensive side of the ball, which he's very excellent at. But offensively, too, I mean, the kid is just doing a phenomenal job. And, I mean, he legitimately earns the nickname Mr. November, in my opinion. I mean, he is clutch when it comes postseason time. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, too, about this is PH controlled the line of scrimmage both ways the entire game. I had Paul Farrell was messaging me during the game and give me some updates on how it was going, and he did a really good job of an analysis of the game. And but when you got guys on PH, okay, all first-team guys on the D-line and O-line. So guard, first-team NWL, Adrian Delgado, just a junior. Defensive end, first-team NWL, Jaden Punches, he's a senior. Linebacker, first-team NWL, Kevion Kreider, junior. I want to throw him in there because he's part of the front 7. Defensive lineman was a first-team NWL. Grant Smith is just a junior. But 3 of those 4 guys on first team are juniors. So, I mean, that defense and, offensive line are pretty solid for the Patriots. So, guys, thoughts on the Patrick Henry and Cary game?
The biggest thing I see is the 63 rushing yards is astounding, given the size and power of Cary's backfield. Really, I mean, not just their running back, but their quarterback, lead blocking, everything else we talked about last week. To see them get shut down like they did on the rushing game, offense in general is wild. I
mean, I kind of thought going into this game that's kind of how it would play out because knowing who they had, the personnel on the O-line and D-line for PH. It's definitely an upgrade from what Tenor had. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, that's the honest truth. Yeah. I mean, in terms of size and physicality, I mean, PH is, on another level, if we're being honest.
Yep. We talked about that. The physicality of PH we knew was going to be another level above Tenora for Cary to handle. But only 63 yards is that number is wild to me to see that.
It's about 300 less than they had the previous week rushing. I mean, that's
and again,
really astonishing.
And again, running back Eli Steen, he's 6'1", 240. I mean, that's a big back. That's a really big back.
It really speaks volumes to the defensive line because they have to get that initial contact at the line of scrimmage, or else he's going to just naturally, with his weight and strength, fall 4 yards forward. Yeah. So if he gets to the linebackers, he's getting 6-yard gain. Yep. If he gets to the line of scrimmage, I mean, we saw against Tenora, getting to the line of scrimmage means he's still getting 4 yards.
That's what we saw.
He's going to run 2 people over.
Sorry, go ahead, Logan.
Oh, I was just going to say at Tenora, he had that little spin move. He would get wrapped up and he'd spin and he'd get an extra 2 yards every single time. Yep. Yeah, what were you saying, Tony?
No, I really like to see the time of possession in this game. Steen only had 12 carries. Kyler Bowes only threw the ball 12 times. What was the time of possession? Did PH control the clock and keep them off the field? Was that part of it? I mean,
that's a good point.
Let me look it up here real quick. If you guys, while you guys are talking,
after seeing him the week before at Sonora, and I know we all mentioned it last week that I think PH is going to be way more physical than what Sonora is. They got bigger players, better players. They've been tested. They played against the Liberty Centers. They played against the Columbus Groves, big rushing teams. Against the Delta, who Leonard Moot runs the ball hard, so they've had their experience against those guys. But I cannot believe when I saw 63 total rushing yards and 30. He only had 38. Good Lord, he had that in 3 carries.
Time of possession. Cary had the ball for 24 minutes and 54 seconds. Patrick Henry had the ball for 23 minutes 6 seconds.
Oh, so that wasn't it. Huh. Wow.
It kind of flipped. In the first quarter, Patrick Henry had the ball for 9 minutes and 38 seconds. Cary only had it for 2 minutes and 22 seconds, and basically that flipped in the second half or second quarter. Cary held the ball a little bit longer. Wow.
that wasn't it then. They just smacked him in the mouth.
I mean, as much as we've talked about Patrick Henry and their offense, I mean, that's their fourth shutout this season. And their defense is almost as good as their offense, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
obviously.
I don't think they've allowed double-digit points maybe twice during the first 12 weeks, maybe. So,
well, I mean, you see what they did with Liberty Center. I mean, that was a one-score game.
Like I said, as much as we talk about, I mean, givingly so, Krieger in the offense and Lane Jackson and the boys, but their defense is just playing astounding.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I'm just pulling up their schedule real quick.
Yeah, they only gave up 27 points to Columbus Grove and 21 to Liberty Center, and those two teams are blowing people out.
Yeah, other than that, they didn't allow more than 7 points was the most points outside those two games that they let up, and that went to Archbold. Delta, they only gave up 3 points. Wasion shutout, Bryan shutout. Evergreen, they only gave up 6. Ayersville, they only gave up 2. Hicksville, they only gave up 6. So pretty solid.
Yeah, so you take away Liberty Center and Columbus Grove, and they're probably averaging 4.5 points a game, somewhere around there. Yep. So, hey, good game from them. We're excited to see them continue their streak this year.
Yep.
All right, we're moving on to the next game. 2 more games, and we'll wrap up the game recaps. Next game here, we're looking at the 13 seed Napoleon. They headed to the 5 seed Bay, another long trip. I believe another 2+ hour trip for them. So that's 2 back-to-back weeks in the playoffs. And Napoleon ended up winning this one 28-0. At halftime, Napoleon was up 14-0 on Bay. Total offense for the game, Napoleon had 322 yards with 191 rushing. Bay had 129 yards with 85 rushing. Turnover battle, Napoleon had 1 interception. Bay had 1 interception. Running back George Eggers, some top players from Napoleon, 24 carries, 141 rushing yards, good for 5.9 yards to carry, and finished with 4 rushing touchdowns. So good to see him really running the ball well. Wide receiver Trey Rubenstein, 6 catches, 65 receiving yards. Quarterback Owen Espinoza, 10 of 16, 63%, 131 passing yards. Parker Woods had 1 interception on defense, and Garrett Hall led the defense with 10 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. So, guys, Napoleon playing a little bit of upset ball here in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's kind of made fun of AJ. He got thrown on the highlight clip last week. But
Napoleon calling me out.
So,
hey, we do say a lot of good things about Napoleon, too. So that's one thing you can't look at.
But, we all picked them last week, and I tell you what, they're playing well. And, I don't remember they hadn't shut out very many people all through the season. Then all of a sudden, boom, they come out here and I think we joked around earlier about win-loss. This is how they kind of were playing their season, and they come out and they throw 2 shutouts in the playoffs.
I mean, I think that's a testament to their schedule, too. You look at, they play in the tough NLL. Yep. They play teams like Anthony Wayne. Non-conference, you play a pretty good Defiance team, and then you play a Liberty Center team who's is now turning into a perennial powerhouse in Division 5. I mean, let's be honest. So when you play those 2 teams in Week 1 and Week 2, you play teams like Anthony Wayne. Napoleon is battle-tested. I mean, they've played a tough schedule throughout the year, and I think that's what's leading to a lot of their success in the playoffs. It's almost like, I don't think they necessarily take a deep breath, but, I mean, some of these teams I don't think are up to the quality, that they've played throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I said that I didn't think Napoleon was going to get past Clearview, and they made me eat my words. I am ecstatic that they made me eat my words on that. I love when teams prove me wrong like that. Love seeing these guys continue their run through playoffs, and I did not bet against them last week. I saw what they did to Clearview, so I went with them against Bay.
Yep.
And I'm glad they're continuing. So we'll see how they continue the season.
Well, I can tell you what, I believe, was it Keith and I that had the buy for buy or sell? Did anyone else have the buy or sell for Napoleon making it through the first 2 rounds?
That. Yep, 3 weeks ago.
Yep. We're making thousands of dollars.
Yes.
We hit the lottery. Napoleon is playing how we expected, and it's good to see them have success. So I saw that highlight video by Alec, I think, Paulie or Haley. Does a really great job at taking videos, but just listen to Coach Tyler Sweary's speech, and it was really interesting to see, and just basically telling the team, take advantage of the opportunity that they have, because years ago, and some guys on the coaching staff, 13 seeds never got into the playoffs, so I mean they're really making the most out of it, and rightfully so.
Yeah, second time I think since 2012 they made it to the regional semifinals coming up here Friday night. But yeah, I mean we've talked about it during the season and during that hot take segment that. I mean, Napoleon has the athletes to make a run. I mean, there's not too many teams in Northwest Ohio that have the offensive athletes like Eggers, Rubenstein, Espinoza, Parker Woods, and you can go on and on and on. But, I mean, Napoleon's going to have an uphill battle. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But, hey, the way they're playing now, I mean, Coach Swery hasn't believing. So,
absolutely. Yeah, it's just they can match up. That's why you line them up every Friday night.
Yeah. Yep. And one comment I keep going back to, and just to point this out too, the 3 Henry County teams are all still in the playoffs. Patrick Henry, Napoleon, and Liberty Center. Yeah. So Henry County is well represented in football this year. And I believe someone earlier in the season had brought up Napoleon's the little brother for football.
Liberty Center, yeah.
In Henry County. But I don't know. I mean, Napoleon is playing some really good football. And, these teams that Napoleon are playing, they're tough Division IV teams. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think that – I don't know. We'll have to revisit that sometime. But I don't know that you can necessarily say that anymore. I mean, Napoleon is really showing out in the playoffs. So, excellent job by them and Coach Swery and the coaching staff. Yep. All right, moving on to the last game here. We're looking at the 11-seed Lipick at the 3-seed Gibsonburg. Lipick pulled the upset off, winning 18-16. At halftime, Lipick was up 6-3. Total offense, Lipick had 303 yards, 193 passing. Gibsonburg had 285 yards, 242 rushing. Turnover battle, Lipick had 1 interception. Gibsonburg had 1 fumble. Some top players from Lipick. Quarterback Mark Kirkendall, kid's just a freshman, 11 of 20, 55%, 193 passing yards with 2 passing touchdowns and 1 interception. Just with him, he's really stepping up here in the postseason, the last half of the year. So it's nice to see him take that next big step as just a freshman. He's getting some postseason experience as well. So great job by Mark. Wide receiver Ty Lammers, he was a quarterback last season. He's a wide receiver this season. A nice-looking kid, 6'2", 185, but he finishes with 7 receptions, 158 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. Running back Colin Neese, 11 carries, 59 rushing yards, 1 reception for 19 receiving yards. Running back Aaron Hazelton, 8 carries, 39 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. And wide receiver Quinn Westoven had 1 1-yard touchdown reception. So, guys, thoughts on the upset over Lipick over Gibsonburg?
It's just an amazing job by Lipick. It kept that game kind of was tight the whole way. Nobody got away, and we saw, like you said, the halftime score was 6-3. You're kind of like, wow, that's unusual, but it was neat to see him keep fighting and hang in there to win that game.
It's cool too to see a freshman quarterback leading the charge on a team through playoffs, because the inexperience of a freshman can sometimes be a drastic hindrance coming into playoffs, because a lot of things happen that you haven't seen before, experiences that you just don't know necessarily situational aspects. But for him to continue to do well and put up almost 200 yards passing, it's awesome, and definitely sets Lipick up for a good couple of years here.
Yeah, he has good guidance, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
I believe because he's Joe's son. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
but you put interesting numbers down there, Logan. For Ty Lammers, 6'2", 185 for a high school receiver. This is just amazing. That's a college body right there for a receiver. I mean, if you're Mark Kirkendall and you can just throw it up there to Ty Lammers, and I know,
really, throw it within a 5 to 10 foot radius, and he's probably going to catch everything.
That's a solid wide receiver right there.
I mean, because the thing in Northwest Ohio, and you get into smaller football, your corners and defensive backs are not that big. I mean, let's be honest. I don't think probably some of the tallest corners that we see in the area are maybe 5'10", 5'10" at most. So, I mean, he's going to take advantage, and if Mark can put the ball, within the general area of Ty, I mean, he's going to come down with it.
Yeah, that's one of those corner routes in the end zone. Just throw it up and let your player go get it. You know what I mean? Like you said, he's probably going to win that battle, 7 out of 10 times.
But, yeah, after all that, we're down to just 5 teams, so good to see all those teams move on.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with our next segment. BSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Optimal Performance Fitness is your go-to gym in Northwest Ohio, providing group fitness classes, personal training, and sports performance sessions for area athletes. Located in Napoleon, Ohio. Give them a call today at 419-438-7265.
Benton Stevens Body Shop is your #1 voted auto body shop in Northwest Ohio. We are your experts on all makes and models and are the only Chrysler, Ford, and GM certified collision repair center in the area. Located in Jewel, Ohio. Give us a call today at 419-497-3111 to schedule your free estimate. Come check out the Benton Stevens Body Shop difference.
Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we're on to Play of the Week, sponsored by Titan Sports. Titan Sports offers revolutionary wearable GPS technology for high school football and strength and conditioning programs, giving you all the metrics to get the most out of your athlete. This week, again, we had a lot of great plays, but we're going to only select one. We can only select one. So let's take a look at some of the honorable mention plays that didn't quite make the cut. As I always say, there can only be one. And guess who that is this week? It's the Fairview Apaches again. So Play of the Week this week is going to go to Logan Olinger in this diving catch that helped set Fairview up for an Olinger 1-yard touchdown the following play. So check it out right here. Again, like we had said earlier on the podcast, Fairview's got a lot of really good athletes, and Zedike threw that pass to him, but Olinger making the diving catch is terrific. And I was talking to a couple people at the game. I said, this kid is special. Just a sophomore, but he's got a lot of talent, a lot of potential. Finished with that game 13 receptions, which is a lot for a wide receiver. But I'm excited to see what he does. So, guys, you saw the play. What were your thoughts on that nice diving catch?
That's a heck of an athletic play just for a sophomore, number one. And he's kind of got a long, lanky frame, and he's just going to grow into his body even more in the next 2 years. But a heck of a catch and a heck of a talent there by Logan.
Yeah, he didn't get the touchdown lane.
No,
at the
he
1 yard line.
At the 1 yard line.
It's nice to see him give him the ball, let him get it in there.
He got rewarded the next play. So
it's one of those things you can't teach that diving catch like that. You can coach a kid how to catch, but to have the instinct to dive like that and catch it, you can't teach that. It's just got to be an instinct.
Yep.
And as a sophomore, to have that instinct is awesome.
There's a play that he made later in the game. He made a lot of really good plays, but he had one where he caught a reception, made a little spin move, and got an extra 4 or 5 yards out of it. But he definitely has a knack for the position, and he can make guys miss. So, Fairview, like I said too, Fairview next year is going to be scary good. I mean, that sophomore class is very, very talented. You bring back Zedike. He's going to be a senior next year. This year, he took a huge leap compared to where he was the prior year before. And again, I think if they can get a couple kids out of the freshman class, which we just talked about, and the freshman group won the Green Meadows Conference as 8th graders, so there's definitely some talent there as well. Yep. Fairview is going to be a tough out and next year. And I'm going to say it right now, they're my heavy favorites to win the GMC next season.
As AJ touched on, I mean, that was a heck of an athletic play. He's also a baseball player. So, I mean, that has a lot of baseball in him in that play right there. So,
making that little diving effort. Just the effort is what's unteachable.
Right.
All right. So, we want to thank Play of the Week sponsor to Titan Sports. And, again, this goes to Logan Olinger from the Fairview Apaches. So, nice job from him and nice pass from Will Zedike. All right, guys, we are on to Player of the Week from Week 12, sponsored by BSN Sports. I'm going to roll through the list, and then we will kind of discuss who was in the running for Player of the Week. So let's go. Fairview wide receiver Logan Olinger. Liberty Center running back linebacker Waylon Rentz. Liberty Center running back Garrison Cruz. Columbus Grove running back Trent Barraza. Columbus Grove quarterback Kyle Hopkins. Patrick Henry quarterback Lincoln Krieger. Patrick Henry defensive lineman Grant Smith. Napoleon running back George Eggers. And Lipick quarterback Mark Kirkendall. So, guys, who kind of caught your eye for potential for Player of the Week?
Well, I'll continue the love fest. I'll go with Fairview sophomore wide receiver, Logan Olinger. 12 receptions, 188 yards. Like we just said, they just showed an outstanding catch there, but he'd be my nominee. And I said, this kid's just a sophomore, so he's got 2 more years. He's got a very bright future for the Apaches and Coach Rakes.
And I'll keep the young players trend going with Mark Kirkendall from Lipick, being a freshman, throwing up numbers that he did, not, top in the area, for the season, but definitely solid and helped propel them to a win. So, very decisive player for sure.
Yep. Well, I'm a Union guy, so I'm going to go with the seniority guy. Columbus Grove, Trenton Barraza, 23 carries, 225 yards. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable by him, just doing it week after week after week. And, teams are keying on him, and he's still throwing up fabulous numbers. And
that's honestly the biggest point there is everybody knows who Trenton Barraza is coming into their games against him. And you would think that eventually they would do something to key on him and make them do something else. And yet he's still getting 225
they're scheming, yards. But he's still getting his yards. But
apparently everybody doesn't know AJ because this kid has not got any major college visits. So if you're a college recruiter or an assistant coach or a head coach that watches our video, somebody please give this kid a look because he is a diamond in the rough. He is going to help some program out. He just has, we talked about it a million one times, instincts you can't teach. He's got eyes in the back of his head. He just runs without thinking. So just somebody out there give this kid a look at a major college.
And people should know, if you listen to the podcast, we don't sugarcoat anything. No. I mean, we're very honest, and he's a special kid. We said he's definitely is D2 potential, possibly small Division I, II, but he's going to bless a team on the offensive side of the football. Offensively, we know, but defensively, I mean, he's solid there too. We saw him a little bit last season. But
this kid's a real deal. I mean, it's just you look at his, like Keith just mentioned, his instincts and his ability, his vision, and all that stuff. Coaches, you can get him in the weight room. That's easy.
You can't teach
this kid's
that.
got work ethic. This kid's got work ethic. He'll get stronger and bigger. You can even imagine a Trenton Barraza after he gets in the weight room and he gets up to where he's squatting big weight and gets those legs more powerful than what he is now. Dude, I tell you what. You mentioned it, Keith. He's a diamond in the rough. And I really think he's a D1 athlete. I don't think he's even a small D1. I'm thinking like he's a Michigan State type kid. Maybe not elite level Ohio State, but he could play Michigan State easy. In my opinion. And this kid is going to blow people up when he gets there.
Especially give him 2 more years to develop and grow as a man. You start hitting, he's only 17, 18 probably.
Yeah,
somewhere
probably right around there.
You start hitting that 19, 20, you get 21, he gets to like junior year. He's going to be a very strong, stout player that, a lot of colleges look for that immediately. And it's like, but you can bring him up to that level physically. You can't necessarily teach somebody the instincts.
Oh, you can't.
Teach that. I will say there is a lot of very talented players in Northwest Ohio that do get looked over at the collegiate level.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of talent, but I think the biggest thing is, a lot of Division I programs, I think we had talked to. I mean, you got to market yourself. If you're in Northwest Ohio, that's the way it is. I mean, you're not in the big inner city schools. You may not get as much, publicity, which we try to give the kids.
Yeah.
But you got to market yourself. You got to send film to those. And I said, maybe we'll host a podcast and I'll bring in some college coaches or call them and we can discuss, how you market yourself. How do you get recruited, being from a smaller area like this, and what are some tips? And I've got some tips too that we had talked about, but he can definitely get it. But I think a lot of colleges, they want guys right now ready to play. Like, I mean, if you're an offensive lineman, like look at Luke Montgomery from Findlay last year. So he was, 6'5", maybe like 220, but he had some potential going to a bigger school, but he had to put on weight, and he ended up, I think, getting recruited at 280. Myself, when I was in school, I was 6'6", 220. Like there's no way I was going to get looked at by Division I programs because I didn't have the size then, and rightfully so. I mean, I wasn't developed, but a lot of these kids can definitely be developed. You get them into a college strength and conditioning program. You get them on the right diet. You get them a meal plan.
Yep,
they're going to put on weight, and they're going to be even better than what they were here. But
absolutely.
Even guys like Waylon Rentz, which might as well go into it right now. Our player of the week is going to be linebacker, Liberty Center, and running back Waylon Rentz again. So, but this is another kid that, if
absolutely
he's looking to play college football, he can certainly play at a high level. We had seen him. You guys saw him in person too. A very physical player. I mean, he plays hard and he lives in the weight room. A big, solid kid too. A lot of those guys from Liberty Center are too. So I think it's just a shame sometimes that, these kids get overlooked, but there is a lot of talent. Rentz and Barraza are two that come to mind right off the bat. that are solid running backs, and I think that could really do some damage at the next level.
Yeah, Garrison Cruz too, and he's a sophomore.
Yeah,
there's a ton of them. So
and Lincoln Krieger, we were talking to some people, over at Liberty Center that know what's going on there. He's getting some looks at Big Ten schools.
Yeah,
name that was thrown around was Northwestern. Not top of the Big Ten, but definitely, D1. College, which is awesome.
But you know what? To me, anymore, it doesn't matter where you go because you go just throw yourself into the. If you have a good season, you throw yourself in the transfer portal and end up somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could end up at a Michigan or
you never know.
Somewhere like that if you transfer out.
Anyway.
So,
yeah, geez, look at Dave Portnoy from Michigan. He's offering $1 to $3 million to go out and buy a quarterback. Legitimately,
Yeah,
he's offering that money to go buy a quarterback. It's just crazy how the NCAA is. I don't know. I mean, that's a whole other topic too. But I think they should probably get away from that. Yeah. So, but player of the week again. Just want to highlight this kid a little bit more. Liberty Center running back linebacker Waylon Rentz. He gets it done on both sides of the ball, offense, defense. Earlier in the year, we saw that nasty stiff arm he had against Napoleon, and kid just tears things up. And we said, how big of a difference would it have been if he was healthy last year, the last couple playoff games? Yeah. I mean, that would have been a huge difference. I mean, this kid is a game changer. He's a track star, too. I believe he's on one of the state relay teams for Liberty Center, so he's got that good open field speed. I'd be curious what his 40 time is. I bet it's pretty quick.
It's quick. But
so,
he had a nice stiff arm Friday night, too. I was talking about it off air, but he kind of went out to his left there and just pie-faced a kid and pushed him to the ground and ran into the end zone. But he's a big kid. He's physical and, with 12 tackles as well on the defensive side. He's just physical and likes to get after it.
And 3 tackles for loss. I mean, that's probably, just as impressive as his offensive.
And when we say 3 tackles for loss, I'll let you guys know, I did not see Liberty Center blitz much. So these are just guys flying to the football. They weren't like sending people on blitzes a lot. They just played ball.
Yep, just get good reads and go off tackle, see the off tackle plays and just go for it and blow it up in the backfield. They weren't intentionally blitzing. They were just getting good reads.
All right. Well, the player of the week will receive NWO Sports gear courtesy of BSN Sports. So thank you again to sales rep Jim Garris and Rob Held for being great supporters of our coverage for athletics in Northwest Ohio. And Waylon, I'm sure we'll be crossing paths here real soon down the playoffs. So we'll get you your shirt here and get you a picture as well. So congratulations again to Liberty Center's Waylon Rentz, player of the week from week 12. All right, and we are on to Matthew's players of the week to watch. I'm going to get it pulled up here and see who he has for us this week.
I'll check to see who he had last week. I thought he said he had Rentz. If he did, that's kind of cool.
I'll go back and take a look.
Last week he did. He had Waylon Rentz from Liberty Center for your offense and Trey Rubenstein for defense.
Oh, wow. He hit that one. He nailed that one.
All right, this week, players to watch on offense. He's going back to Liberty Center. Running back Garrison Cruz. Reasoning is Garrison had a big night last week and has continued to come on strong towards the end of the season, so I think he will build off of the recent success and have a big night. On defense, Kylan Mays from Columbus Grove. Reasoning is Mohawk has struggled on offense towards the end of the season, so I think that will lead to a big night for Mays. And again, Kylan Mays is another solid defensive and offensive lineman for the Grove Bulldogs. So keep an eye out for those players on Friday night. All right, we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. And we're going to introduce a new segment, so stay tuned. Marco's Pizza is honored to sponsor NWO Sports, serving your pizza of choice in Northwest Ohio. Defiance, Archbold, Wasion, Delta, Bryan, Napoleon, Paulding, and Montpelier. Order online at marcos.com today. Remax Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance, we have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. For 26 years, Burkholder Taxidermy has been Northwest Ohio's trusted full-service taxidermist. From game heads to lifelike mounts, we provide exceptional quality and craftsmanship. Preserve your memories with Burkholder Taxidermy, where experience meets excellence. Located at 19331 Buckskin Road, Defiance, Ohio. Give them a call at 419-782-9538. Fairchild Family Chiropractic aims to help families to get better together in the least invasive way possible. Dr. Fairchild focuses on the neck using the Blair technique and Palmer package, adjusting to correct spinal misalignments. Located in Defiance, Ohio. Call Dr. Fairchild today at 419-576-5070 to schedule an appointment. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. Jimenez Basketball Academy strives to create an atmosphere to cultivate basketball fundamentals in Northwest Ohio youth athletes, offering one-on-one sessions, group sessions, speed and agility training, and much more. Located in Pettisville, Ohio, call Coach Jesse today at 419-551-8105. Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on tenorarams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at nwoball.com. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer. Truland Equipment and Salesman Lauren Brown are your go-to for John Deere equipment in Archbold, Ohio. Mowers, compact tractors, skid loaders, and more. Your sales expert on commercial turf and CCE sales. Give Lauren a call today at 419-445-1565. Looking to remodel or expand your home? Building with Faith Construction specializes in quality remodeling services and additions to make your dream space a reality. From general construction to detailed renovations, trust Building with Faith to bring experience, reliability, and craftsmanship to every project. Give them a call today at 419-980-8850. Start your day off right at Paulding Pancake House, serving up delicious breakfast, lunch, and dinner from Tuesday through Sunday. It's your go-to spot for home-style meals at any time of day. Swing by and enjoy everything from classic pancakes to hearty lunch and dinner options. There's something for everyone at the Paulding Pancake House. Craving a local favorite? Head to Ensign's Pub, where you'll find the best hot beef sandwiches and famous knockers in town. Whether you're celebrating after the big game or just need a great meal, Ensign's has you covered. Stop by for great food, cold drinks, and good company. Located on 611 Ottawa Avenue in Defiance, open Tuesday through Saturday. We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we're on to a new segment. Not a real long one, but this is definitely going to be a fun one. And this is called In the Huddle. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a scenario of a football situation in a game to these guys. These guys have no idea what it is right now. And then they have to tell me what their decision is. So I'll kind of build up the scenario and what's going on, and they're going to tell me, and I'll select them at random. So
is there a right answer or a wrong answer, or just
whatever you think you would do if you're the coach in that situation, okay?
It's going to spark some debate. That's what it's going to do.
All right. Are you guys ready?
Yep. I'm ready.
Here's the scenario. It's a full-on blizzard. You're down by 1 point with 6 seconds left in the game. It's 3rd and 8. You're in field goal range on the 35, but the snow and wind are making conditions unpredictable. Do you attempt a field goal to win or go for the Hail Mary? Some decision factors, field conditions. So the snow is heavy, reducing visibility, and you're making the footing uncertain for both the kicker and the holder. The wind's swirling, so it's making it hard to predict how the ball is going to travel. There's a good amount of snow on the ground. Kicker's reliability for most part during the season, he's hitting at, let's say, 60, 70%, and you're within field goal range. And team's Hail Mary success rate, tallest wide receiver, let's say, is 5'11", and let's go with that. Keith?
I assume,
what are you doing? Are you kicking the field goal or are you throwing the Hail Mary to win it?
Lots of variables here. Are we playing on turf or we got grass?
Let's say we're on grass.
I'm assuming we have the wind, just swirling wind, or is it mostly to our back, or is it?
Let's say just an unpredictable swirling wind.
Okay, swirling wind. And how long was the field goal again? It's from the.
It'd be if it's on the 35, it'd be 45-yarder.
Oh shit!
But you're within field goal range. This kicker's pretty solid. His long on the year is a 49-yarder.
There's 6 seconds. There's 6 seconds left.
6 seconds.
And you don't have any tall receivers, so you throw the ball up for grabs. You probably have almost no chance of this. You're even going to. Boy, oh boy. If I got a reliable field goal kicker and I have a wind at my back, even though it's swirling and it's mostly the wind at my back, and he's pretty accurate, I'm trotting a field goal kicker out there because I think I got a better chance of making the field goal than I do just throwing a Hail Mary into the end zone with no tall receiver on my team anywhere in sight.
Even if you have, let's say, 3 inches of snow on the ground.
Here's what's going to happen.
You got to remember, I said there's a little bit of snow accumulation built up on the ground.
Well, you're going to bring out the snowplow.
No, here's what we do. We call a timeout, and then I got my holder and my kicker out there, so we're kicking snow out. So we already have a clear spot.
Yeah.
We have our plant foot It's going to be clear, and our holder is going to have a good spot. That here's the key to this whole thing, though. All right, my kicker is going to get his plant foot clear. Now, in the meantime, my holder is going to mount a little bit of snow. He's going to pack it maybe about 2 to 3 inches off the ground, so I have a little self-made tee. So now my kicker has that clear path with his plant foot. He's not really going to slide. And now my holder has a little mini tee that he's built up with the snow there that just kind of blends in. So now my kicker has a little bit of an advantage because the ball is going to be off the ground even more. But
you have a high school holder. You think he's going to be able to place it right on that little mound of snow?
Well, you're putting the tee on top of this mound. So, yes. Absolutely. So you're going to get just a little bit more lift.
So we got Keith's answer. So he's kicking the field goal.
Let's go to the field goal.
Let's go to AJ. AJ,
boy,
full on blizzard. If you remember, I don't think AJ wasn't at that game. We're talking like Antwerp, but more snow on the ground.
Finley 2 years ago against LCC.
Oh boy,
what are you doing, AJ?
Well,
they had the leaf blowers out there.
I'm not gonna do like a Will Howard thing and look for the pass, but still end up running the ball with 6 seconds left. I'm not going to do that. I guess you let your field goal kicker take a shot. I mean, you have just as much of a chance of him putting it through as you do throwing up a Hail Mary. I mean, Hail Marys work like 1 every 20 attempts.
What's my kicker's range? You said it's within his range.
His long was 48. I think I said 48 yards in the year. This is a 45-yarder. You have a swirling wind. You got 3 inches of snow on the ground. Blizzard conditions.
Do I have timeouts? Keith said we had a timeout, so he was clear.
I took a timeout.
Let's say you have a timeout because Keith is saying you have a timeout.
I am
6 seconds left in the game.
I am going to take a snap and I'm going to throw the ball and try to pick up 5 to 10 more yards. I want to make it look like we're doing a Hail Mary. I'm going to break one of my receivers off quick, pick up another 10 yards, and then kick the field goal.
It's going to be quick.
That's good.
It'll be quick. I can catch the ball and get out of bounds, get down. All you got to do is get down right away and call timeout. I got timeout left.
Yeah.
Can be anywhere in the field, but I'm going to have everybody take off, and I'm going to have one guy break off and hit him with the pass.
I'd say
I'm going to get myself 10 yards closer. Then I feel a little more comfortable taking that kick.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll give my take, but I had thought about that same scenario, but knowing high school football, being blizzard conditions, I think it's going to take more than 6 seconds. By the time he gets a snap, what if he bobbles it a little bit because of the wind? I think you got to throw up the Hail Mary. Maybe not necessarily a Hail Mary, run like a hook and ladder or something, or I don't know.
I thought about that too.
Something to get the ball down there.
Randy Moss.
Yeah, that's what I would go with. I just think when the wind's blowing that much, especially got all that snow, I just think the odds, especially on grass, I feel like your chances of slipping as a kicker, like I could totally see a kicker going out there in high school slipping or the hold being bad, and then you're out of luck. I mean, At least at that point, you have no chance of getting the ball off. Because it's probably going to get caught in the snow, and you're going to slip once the holder picks it up. So at least with the Hail Mary, at least I feel like you're certain to get a shot at the end zone. You could at least go under center if you had to and drop back. Tip. Yeah, something. But
like the Commanders.
Yeah. Right. You really never know. As long as you get the ball
catch one of the defensive players taunting the crowd for the first 4 seconds to play. You never know.
So
that's funny.
Yeah, that's the in the huddle segment. So I'll give a different scenario for the next couple of weeks to wrap things up. But I thought that's something really fun. So
that's great.
That's cool.
I think it was good, Keith. You started things off great. I don't think I could have gone any better. You really bought into that. Nice. The only other thing, could you imagine if this scenario comes up? In postseason.
Dude, if it comes up, I think I'll just walk away. If we're in a game, I'm just going to walk.
Doing the podcast, I retire. I'm done. Gone.
But no, I'll definitely, maybe I'll have to post that clip online and see what fans have to say too. Yeah. I think that's just something that's really fun. So we'll continue that. Cool. All right. Well, we are going to move on to buy or sell. So again, we're either going to buy and agree with the statement or sell and disagree. So we're going to go around again. I'll pick these guys at random, and we'll give our little snippet of what our analysis of the buy or sell is. A little bit different than the hot takes, but it's another fun way to kind of liven up the podcast. All right. The first buy or sell is Napoleon is going to get smacked by Perkins. So, again, Napoleon is the 13 seed, and they are facing off against the 1 seed in the region and Perkins, but Napoleon has been on a roll here of late. So, let's kick it over to Tony. Buying or selling?
You picked me first. Here you go, Napoleon. I'm buying.
Ooh.
I think Perkins is stout. I've done a little bit of research on them. They've thrown 6 shutouts this year. They lost to Edison 15-14. They scored over 40 points 7 times this year. Napoleon been playing great last couple games, and I hope they prove me wrong here, but I just think Perkins is going to be too much for him.
All right, we'll swing it over to myself. This is a tough one. I don't know. Napoleon's playing some really good football right now. Perkins, I think, is on another level. I guess, what do you consider the definition of smack?
Yeah, exactly. 30 plus.
30 plus points. I think I'm going to have to sell. The reason I'm going to sell is I think Napoleon's playing really well, especially establishing that run game. Last game with Eggers, I think, is huge. I think in games where you're considered the underdog, I think if you can control the time of possession, you can limit – you talked about Perkins' high-powered offense. Right. You can limit the time that they have. I think you can at least keep the scoring down. I mean, I think Perkins is – and we'll get into it for our game predictions, but, I think Perkins is obviously the heavy favorite, but I think Napoleon can probably limit, I guess, the margin of victory for Perkins if they continue to, run the ball really well and they show up to play like they have the last couple of weeks, and they have. I mean, They had shutouts the last 2 weeks, and they have some really good athletes. So, I don't know that they necessarily get smacked, but, I still don't know that they necessarily pull this one out. So, for that, I'm selling. AJ?
Give Napoleon some more hype video material here. I'm going to buy, looking at Sandusky Perkins, the way they've been playing ball, like you said, Coach, over there, looking at some of their schedule, they have absolutely been smacking people they've been playing, with the only loss coming to Edison, which we'll see here soon, I'm sure. But, I'm going to have to buy and say that Napoleon, it's going to be an uphill battle from the start for sure.
Keith?
I'm kind of with you, Logan. It depends on your definition of getting smacked, I guess. So I'm going to sell. I think if Napoleon can keep it within 21 points, that's going to be respectable. They just have too much talent, I think, on both sides of the ball to lose 45-0. So if it could be 38-21 final, that's pretty respectable. So I'm going to sell that one. I'm going to say not that Napoleon keeps it close, but they at least keep it respectable. So, like I said, if it's 38-21, I would assume that would be, at least a win from the heart from the Wildcats for me.
All right. We're going to move on to the next buy or sell. Next buy or sell is Wauseon will be the team to beat next year. So kind of giving a little bit of background info. This year, Wauseon struggled a little bit. Some players that they losing, Wyatt Smith, wide receiver, was one of the better receivers. He's a first-team NWO player. He's a senior, so he graduates, just looking through the all-conference. They do bring back Brady Miller. He was a first-team defensive end. Those are the only 2 guys, I believe, I see here that they had on first team. Second team, some top players from Wauseon. They had JoJo Flowers. He was a second-team specialist. Ben Toole, defensive lineman. He's a senior, so they lose him to graduation. Tyler Rodriguez is a sophomore linebacker, so he'll be solid returning. Was able to get a second-team accolades. Cale Albright, defensive back. He's just a junior, so he comes back. He's also their starting quarterback too. So let's start things off with AJ.
I am going to have to sell that one. I don't think they're going to be the team to beat. I think I was just kind of looking through Liberty Center's roster right now, looking at what they bring back. They bring a lot of talent back. I think they're going to be the team to beat. Not saying Wauseon can't be a higher tier team in the NWAL again. They have been in the past, so they can get back to that. But I still think Liberty Center is going to be the team to beat with the talent they bring back and the skill they have this year.
Keith?
I also will sell that one. Wauseon was 3-7 this year, 3-4 in the league, and you also have to realize, in theory, Archibald had a down year. They were 6-5. Evergreen's a program on the rise. They were 6-5. Delta, another program that seems to be on the rise. They were also 6-5. That does not include Liberty Center and Patrick Henry. So there's was that 5 teams already that probably should be at least as good, if not better than Wauseon next year. So that, for me, will be a sell.
Tony?
Sell. Just what Keith just said. I think they can get better, possibly make it into playoffs next year, but I don't. They're not going to be the team to beat in the NWOAL anyways.
Yeah. And for me, I'm going to sell too. Keith stole all the words out of my mouth. I mean, those are all the points I was going to bring up. So I think they're all very valid. And again, a lot of these teams bring back some young talent, but again, Wauseon's got to compete with all of them. So for that, I don't necessarily know that they're the team to beat. Like Tony said, I mean, I could definitely see some improvement. I know they changed their offense, ran more of a wing T style. So now you'll have, second year under your belt. Some of those kids kind of understand and learn the system a little bit better. So, I mean, I could definitely see some improvement, but the team to beat, for that, I got to sell. All right, the next buy or sell, LC Edison Regional Final will be the game of the year and one of the most physical, both of them, some of the most physical teams in Ohio. So, again, this is anticipation that both teams make it out of this round, which I think obviously both of them are pretty favored as well. And I think this is a matchup that everyone's been looking forward to. I know we've been looking forward to it too. And I guess I'll start with things. I am going to buy, if you like some good old-fashioned smash mouth football and you just want to see a really good football game, if you're just a neutral spectator, I would go out and watch this game. I mean, I think it's going to legitimately be a bloodbath. I mean, guys are going to go out there. I'm sure you're going to see guys get – I mean, unfortunately, you're going to see a lot of guys get hurt, I think, this game, which is going to be –
Hope not.
Yeah. I mean, with as physical both these teams play, I think it's inevitable. I mean, these guys are going to run through 3 brick walls, and they're just going to tear each other apart. So I think it's going to be a really, really good football game, and I'm excited to hopefully see it. Hopefully both these teams end up winning in the regional semifinal, and we see that matchup. But, again, like I said, I got to buy this one. AJ?
I am going to sell. I don't think it's going to be the game of the year. I think there's one more that I'm looking at that's probably going to be the game of the year, and that might be Columbus Grove and Marion Local matching up. I think that matchup right there really intrigues me, and I hope to see that possibly for a state semi. Maybe, if we're lucky, it would be awesome to see a state championship game between Columbus Grove and Marion Local.
Keith?
Wow, that's a very good point by AJ.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Talk about some physical football right there.
Yes, right. I'll take AJ's trail on that one. I'll sell because I was all set to buy that one until he brought that one up. So.
Same here. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, that's an easy one.
I mean, obviously, for Coach Mueller, you don't want to put the horse in front of the cart because you still got to win this week versus Oak Harbor. But if we get to go to that game in 2 Fridays, that's going to be one heck of a game. But for this segment, I guess I will sell that.
And I'm selling it. I don't think it's going to be the game of the year. It's going to be physical for sure, but I think whoever comes out of that region, whether it's LC or Edison, whichever, I think they go on to win the state championship.
What would you consider game of the year? Marion Local, Columbus Grove, like those guys were saying, if they match up?
If they would match up, yeah. I mean, I really haven't looked at the PH side of things where PH would match up, if they continue to win. But
I think it's hard because we don't necessarily know. I mean, we haven't really looked at the other regions all that much, so it's hard to see where teams match up. I mean,
we've kind of taken a peek ahead of Edison just because they've, they got to be a darn good football team to be ranked number 1 over ahead of Liberty Center was ranked number 2. Right. So Liberty Center coming into the 2 seed and just literally been dominating. You mentioned some of the stats earlier, giving up 3 points, some points a game. So, I mean, Edison's got to be really, really good to be, ranked number 1 over top of them. So it definitely will be a good game, and it'll be a physical game. But I think there might be a game in the state semifinal or state final that could be better than that one.
I say, I could see either way. I mean, I think that regardless, it's going to be a good football game no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
All right, the last buy or sell here is Fairview wins 4 playoff games next year, which would mean they win the region. Let's go, Keith.
Oh, man. I really want to buy that. I really do because Fairview has a really strong underclassman. I mean, they have Zedike coming back, will be a senior, and we talked about the receiving core that's, sophomores and juniors this year, but I want to sell that only because it seems to be the history of the GMC lately. They just cannot seem to get out of the first or second round. So for that reason only, I want to sell that.
Tony?
Sell. I just I kind of agree with Keith. Antwerp was, considered one of the best teams in the GMC. They had all that talent and didn't win 4 games. So, sell.
That's a really good point. I don't know. I was there Friday night, okay?
Yeah.
And Fairview has a lot of potential. There's a lot of youth there. The coaching, they've got a really good coaching staff. They got guys like legendary Craig McCord's on staff, so he's got a lot of wisdom. Coach Rakes is a phenomenal coach. Got a lot of other assistants that are really good. For me, I'm going to buy this. Quote me now. They will win the region if they can do a couple things. They've got to get their defense a little bit more solid than what it has been. So everyone knows their offense is tremendous and this and that, but their defense has to play solid. And I think the other thing is their offensive line has to improve. I think if they do those two things, if they can improve that defense a little bit more, which this year it's grown leaps and bounds, from the year before, and even the team, if they improve their defense and if their offensive line is improved, I no doubt in my mind, I think they will win the region next year. So I'm going to go with buy. AJ?
Man, a lot of good points from all three of you guys that make me really hate this question, because looking at Fairview as a whole, as a team, like you said, unfortunately, GMC just really struggles to get out of those first 1 or 2 rounds. But they have so much talent that it's very possible, if they live up to their potential, could be a very solid team going into the playoffs, could win several games. But then you look at who else would be in their region. Because remind me, which
So I think everything should stay the same. When do they readjust regions? I
believe it's every
2 years. So this year, Hopewell Loudon was the 1 seed, 2 is the Bluff, 2 is Bluffton, 3 was Ottawa Hills, 4 is Patrick Henry, 5 Tenor, 6 Fairview, 7 Huron, 8 Western Reserve, 9 Seneca East, 10 Spencerville. That's just the top 10 teams.
So, they could match up against like a Patrick Henry, like Hopewell Loudon, things like that coming into that, depending on how those teams develop over the next year. It's possible they will go through it. I'm going to go ahead and buy, as long as they live up to their potential and don't pull. I'm sorry to say this, but don't pull an Antwerp and come out senior year with this big class, come out there last year and just not live up to what they had, potential wise. If they can live up to their potential, I think they can make a playoff run.
I really liked listening to Coach Rake's post-game speech, and he's basically kind of telling the kids, like, look, this is what we could do, but you have to work really, really hard too. Yep. And he's already setting the standard of, look, you guys had this much success this year. And I think if those kids get in the weight room and they take things very, very seriously, that is going to be a really good football team. Really, really good football team next year. Potential, like I said, win to region, maybe make it down to state. But if they've got to improve the defense and they got to improve the offensive line. If they correct those two things, they'll be an unstoppable force next season. I truly mean it.
Yep. That very talented. They don't really lose much to graduation. So, we all had very, very valid points. 2025 should be a strong Fairview Apaches football team. Definitely should win the GMC. So
I think so. All right. We're going to get into the hot takes presented by BSN Sports next. So, again, we have a couple here submitted. And, again, fans submit these in and keep submitting them in, as I'll post on social media, and we'll discuss them. So, got a few here on the slate. So, let's get things kicked off. So, the first one is what is Patrick Henry going to do next season without Lincoln Krieger? I think that's a big question mark. Obviously, he plays a huge role in that team. Anytime you lose a starting quarterback, it's tough. But, we saw last year, PH lost Nashmeyer.
That's what I was just getting ready to say.
He's one of the – I think he holds pretty much all the passing records at PH, and Lincoln Krieger stepped up, and they've been really successful since then. So, I think it's the next man up mentality. I think Patrick Henry is following in the footsteps of what LC does, and they've got good athletes. Not as many because they are a little bit smaller than what LC is. But again, I listed some players earlier, but you've got guard in Adrian Delgado, a junior. You have linebacker Akevian Kreider is a junior. Defensive lineman Grant Smith is a junior. Those are 3 guys that are all first-team NWAL. So you bring those guys back, and you bring back a bunch of other guys too. But those were guys from the Oline and Dline. I think PH is going to be just fine next year. I really do. I think they're going to find out. I don't know who's going to step up. I don't know for a backup quarterback, but I'm sure they'll find someone to fill the role. And everyone knows that PH can certainly run the ball, and they've ran the ball a lot with their quarterback, and that's always a tough thing to stop for defenses. If you're running the ball with the quarterback, you're getting an extra hat for a blocker too. So I think Coach I, and if Coach I is still around too, I don't know. Maybe things will change. I know a lot of the Georges over there are kind of taking the reins of some things, but they've got a good, steady, and solid coaching staff over there. So
yeah, similar to Columbus Grove, Coach Schaefer just delegates. Coach I said the same thing during
the kickoff show.
Kickoff show, yes.
Yeah. So I think Patrick Henry's program is in really good hands. I don't think they to be honest, they don't have anything to sweat.
Now, just looking at their roster, without really counting down, they honestly don't have that many seniors. When you would think about a strong Patrick Henry team, as much success as they had the last 2 years, and obviously we don't know the situation going into 2025 for the quarterback, but just looking back at the roster this year, got sophomore Reed Krieger, 6'3", 180. Also listed as a quarterback. So, I mean, how would you like to have a
younger brother,
6'3" quarterback, for 2 years under center there for Coach I and his offense? But I don't. Kind of like Liberty Center. I don't think Patrick Henry actually has a down year. They just kind of reload. They don't rebuild. So,
yeah, that's kind of, you touched on a little bit. Just kind of next man up. We mentioned it earlier. The game doesn't revolve around one player. You're just going to find the next person, and Lincoln Krieger will be replaced one way or another. Yep. As good as he is and as fantastic of an athlete as he is, he's going to be replaced. Every team has to replace their stars, and it's going to happen here. Somebody will step into that spot and be as good. Hopefully that's the goal, is to step up into that role and not miss a beat. But they'll keep on rolling.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. Logan, you brought up that's how I was going to answer this. Everybody would have said last year, what's Patrick Henry going to do without Nash Meyer? Well, Nash Meyer got hurt, Lincoln Krieger stepped in, and the rest was history. Yep. Same thing will happen next year. Lincoln will be gone, and somebody will have to step up and take over. So I think PH will be just fine. Coach I will do what he needs to do over there. He'll adjust his offense if he has to make it fit, and
That's one thing I will say about Coach I. He's not afraid to try and adapt things to the offense. That's I think a huge testament to him, because I know there's a lot of old school coaches that they're set in their ways and
they don't adapt at all.
They don't adapt. No. I mean, times are changing and athletes are changing. We've discussed that before too. But if you don't change and alter your game plan, your offense, your defense to the athletes that you have on the field, you're just hurting the team, and you're hurting the players, because you're not living up to their full potential. And Coach I, he messed around with that. He messed around with the spread, and they tried it one year, and he kind of said, I don't think we're going to go with that really too much. We got to play at the tight end on the ball and things like that. And at least he attempted it. So I give him credit. And how long's he been coaching for? Forever.
30 years probably.
But yeah, there's a lot of guys. They may have ran the wing tee back in the 70s and 80s, and that worked well for them. And look at Liberty Center. Granted, some teams it works, but in other scenarios, when you don't have 70 kids coming out to play football and you don't have a wide selection of players, and maybe you get guys that are pretty quick, and you got some longer, lanky guys that you got to try to get them the ball out on the edge, and you got to adapt. And Patrick Henry does a really good job at that. So I think for that, like I said, the coaching staff that they have, they're going to be just fine next season.
That's the thing about Coach I, is he molds his offense and his playbook to who he's got, rather than molding the kids to what he wants. That's what makes him such a great coach, I think. He recognized a couple years ago that he had some speed, had some more agile players, went more of a spread, realized that maybe that's not what he's got coming in, decided he was going to go back to having a tight end and getting a little more physical football again, because that's what he had. And kudos to him, because a lot of coaches don't do that. They know what they want to run, and they will make you run what I want to run, rather than realizing you may not have, a slinger, a cannon for an arm. You might have to hand the ball off.
Well, look at this year's offense with Lincoln Krieger. He's not a pocket pass. I would not consider him a pocket passer. His strong suit is running the football. He's a big physical kid, and that's what they do, and they use it to their advantage. But again, it continues to adapt. Just a couple of years ago, they ran the spread, but they also had a running back in Houston Miranda that ran the ball, and he was, I believe, a 1,000-yard rusher. And I mean, they ran the ball a lot with him. This year, they're running the ball with the quarterback. So, every year it's a little bit different. But again, that ability to adapt is what makes Patrick Henry such a great football program.
That's what you got to do at the Division 6, 7 level. We talked about this a lot last year in playoffs. The difference between like D1 to D7 isn't the talent of players, it's the amount of talented players that's the difference. Because at D1 you might have 30 kids that are 4-star recruits. D7 you might have one kid that's a 4-star recruit. Yep. Doesn't mean he's any less than a D1 athlete. It just means you don't have as many of them. So you've got to really mold your offense around what you can accomplish, rather than at a D1 level you've got 85 kids to pick from. You just pick the ones that fit your mold and go with it. So coaches at the lower level, you have to be flexible like that.
All right, we're going to move on to the next hot take here, and we're looking at Cruz and Rentz. So for Liberty Center running backs, would outrush Barraza if they got the carries he does.
They did it this week without having the carries he did. He had 13 carries, 231 yards. Barraza only had 23 carries, 225 yards. So, he already did it without the rushes, with the attempts. But yeah, I mean, Liberty Center runs the ball. They run the rock. Those two kids run the ball hard. They're physical runners. But yeah, I mean, I think if they got 23 carries with Liberty Center's offense, they'd outrush Barraza every week.
Now, why do you think that is? Do you think maybe their O-line is a little bit better than Columbus Grove's?
I just think their O-line is, like I said, they're choreographed. When that ball snapped, they all move instantly together as I would love to go break down their film because it was neat.
Okay, let me ask you this: what about if Barraza was on Liberty Center's team and ran the football? Do you think he would have?
He'd be setting every record.
He'd be a 2,000-yard rusher, no doubt about it.
He'd
be yeah, because I think Barraza is that elite level runner. Not saying that Cruz and Rentz aren't. I'm just saying Cruz and Rentz are great physical runners, but Barraza's vision of the field,
I agree.
I think would open him up more. Like I said, no disrespect to Rentz, but the other day, like he broke through the line of scrimmage, and honestly, when I watched it happen, it was almost like he was caught by surprise when he got to that next level. It was like, oh, they didn't tackle me. He was kind of just like he was kind of expecting to be tackled, but he broke the initial tackle, and then he was off. Where I think Barraza sees that, and he's gone. He's got that next level speed.
There are different types of running backs. Yep. I think it's kind of hard to compare a little bit here and there because guys like Rentz and Cruz, they're your big bruiser backs. Yeah. I mean, they're going to run you over. They're going to make you pay for it. Barraza can do that too, but his vision and it's when he runs the football, it's like he sees things in slow motion and the way he sets up his blocks and he really cuts off of them very, very well. I mean, it's next level. And we continue to say, and I've said it before too, he is probably the best running back I've seen in Northwest Ohio in quite some time.
Yeah,
long time.
Agree. And the thing is, I don't think Waylon Rentz averages 10 carries per game either. Imagine if he get 20, say he got 22 carries a game through 10 weeks of the regular season, what kind of numbers he would put up, because he had just under 1,200 yards on 96 carries through the regular season. He averaged 12.1 yards per carry, 20 touchdowns on 96 attempts. Wow. Jeez.
I mean, comparatively speaking, do you know what Barraza's is? I'm just curious.
His is not in the Crescent News top 10, so...
I tell you what, I'd really like to see if a team, was a predominantly run team. Let's just say Liberty Center, and even Columbus Grove is a run team. Yeah. But if you had a 1-2 punch between Barraza and then you had Rentz or Cruz, just you have that different change of pace. You bring Barraza's elusiveness and his speed and his shiftiness. And then you throw in, that punch of Cruz or Rentz at, just bruising downhill, running.
Or Moeller. I mean, you got Moeller in there as a
right.
Yeah.
Moeller. Just talking about our, when we have our postseason, all team. Just imagine, hypothetically, if you had those three backs you just named and you would run like the carry stacked eye formation.
Oh my gosh.
You could run so much misdirection. Nobody would never know what's going on.
Barraza, Rentz, Cruz, throw Moeller in there again.
I think that's another thing that benefits Cruz and Rentz a little bit is that there are three running backs that are all very talented that throw the defense off. You don't know who's getting the ball because Cruz could be coming in motion, or when Rents could be getting a dive or a trap or something like that. You have no idea who's getting the ball, so it's hard to key on one person. Whereas Barraza is keyed on. He's got to be keyed on every game. They know he's going to be running the ball.
They did a little reverse the other night. Remember that? They ran a little flip inside reverse. I think it was Cruz coming back the other way. If I remember right. But they handed it off, and he just kind of flipped it right back. Him going the other direction right away. It was like right away. It was like a boom, boom.
Which was a really cool play because it's an inside reverse, which means Logan, the offensive line, had to be getting a good push because you can't run an inside reverse if you're getting any penetration because it's going to be
backfield.
Yeah. Kind of joked around. We wouldn't be able to do that in Sonora. We didn't have the offensive line for that this year. So
to compare Barraza, Rents, and Cruz, that's hard because they come from two different teams and they're three very different running backs. So it's hard.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We just have 2 left here. Henry County is the #1 football county per capita in the state. 100% playoff qualifiers. Holgate state semifinalist for 8-man football. Patrick Henry regional semifinalist. Liberty Center regional semifinalist. Napoleon regional semifinalist. Who wants to kick this one off?
I don't know. I mean, looking at the MAC.
That's what I was going to say. What's the MAC?
Auglaize
County?
That was my
my
first
thought.
thought.
I don't know if they're all in the same county. That'd be close.
I'd find it hard to believe.
I know Marion Local's in, Coldwater's in, right?
Minster, I think, is.
So I don't know what their county looks like down there. I don't know if
I think it's Auglaize County is what they're all in.
Fort Recovery was in there for a game. Dude, they picked up Marion Local. I should say Marion Local picked them up or whatever. They chose to play against Marion Local after the other 3 bowed out, and they actually got beat worse than they did in the regular season. They got beat 62-0 in the regular season, got beat 68-0 in the playoff game.
I mean, it is what it is. You know what you're getting going into that game. That's why everybody else bailed out.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it is split. I'm looking. They are kind of in different counties.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the other counties are. Henry County doing very, very well this year. That's for sure. I don't know if they're #1, in the state, but
I guess we'll see what happens in the next, 2 to 3 weeks here.
100% playoff qualifiers. Holgate's out. But I tell you what, PH Liberty Center.
Mercer County and Auglaize County kind of make up, but Coldwater and Maria Stein, Marion Local, are both in Mercer County. So you got 2 teams, but Coldwater and Marion Local are predicted to go pretty far, but Henry County's making a good case for them. And
realistically, you could be looking at 2 of the 3 teams winning regional finals. Napoleon, if they can get an upset, this week, they're going to be looking at a regional finals matchup. You could have 3 Henry County teams knocking on the door to state.
And Columbus Grove is just outside of Henry County, so do they count?
Just outside by a bit.
Yeah.
So, I'd have to agree. I'm sure there's some other inner city counties, but in terms of rural Ohio, they're definitely ranked up there. They're having a lot of success, that's for sure. So, just congratulations to all those teams.
Yep, definitely.
All right, the last one is the OHSAA needs to implement strength of schedule as a 3rd level of points to get more efficient seating. And for this, they took win percentage times 10. So I believe win percentage of the teams that they beat. So they add up all their records, whatever that win percentage is, and they multiply it by 10. And they kind of give an example. So Division 6, Region 22, a couple things that would change. They still had Hopewell Loudon 1, Bluffton 2, Ottawa Hills 3. If it went by strength of schedule, Tenora would actually jump Patrick Henry and be the 4 seed. Patrick Henry would be the 5. Huron would jump a spot and go up to 6. Fairview would drop and go to 7. Woodmore would actually gain 3 spots and jump to 8. Seneca East would be 9. Spencerville 10. I'm not going to go through the rest, but amen. I'm going to say there needs to be, and it's been such a hot topic, seeding and how many teams and quality of seeding. There's got to be strength of schedule component added. I think that's going to make things better for this tournament. I think you'll get better matchups too. I think everyone will be more pleased rather than seeing a bunch of blowouts too. So I kind of like this too. I think it's a fairly easy way. It's just it's a 3rd round of a 3rd level of points. The first round is, for those who don't know, you get points from beating that team, and that's based on division, whatever division size, they get their respective points amounts. Level 2 is they get points from the teams that they beat. So say Tenora, they beat Fairview. So all the teams Fairview beats, they get points for all those. Then the 3rd level would be the win percentage. So I 1,010% agree. I don't know. There's not much debate with this one, I don't think. So
according to the example, it didn't change who was in. It just changed where they were at. Nobody jumped from 17 in. Margaretta jumped 3 spots to 13, but they were at 16. So Paulding stayed in. Nobody jumped up.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at the bottom. So 16 make it. Yeah. Just changed a little bit there, but no one drastically jumped in that shouldn't have been in.
Right. So just reorganize some things a little bit. But so in the end, how much is it going to matter? You have a Paulding that's 16 plays a 1. Paulding plays in a Hopewell Loudon first round. How much of a difference is that going to make?
I mean, at the end of the day, the better team's always going to win. But I mean, I think it cleans up some things in the playoff format. I think right now when the whole 16 seeds and all these matchups are under so much scrutiny, I think it just kind of helps eliminate some of that. Maybe get some better matchups. I'm not saying it's the end all be all answer to everything, but I mean, I think it just helps with the overall, quality of the football playoff tournament.
Yeah, I don't know.
A couple things. I think it makes the pre-conference play, like your first 3 games or so of the season, way more important. If you're going in there, like say Liberty Center comes in and beats up on 3 teams, it helps them absolutely nothing. I guess depending on how those teams do, but you might find more evenly matched teams because they want to play somebody that could potentially get them a lot of wins down the road. But the other thing is, as long as it's not changing who gets in, you're going to have to beat the best anyway. So whether you're a 16 seed or an 8 seed, you're going to have to eventually play the 1 seed. Or granted, you get an extra week of football, which is cool. But if you're not, trying to win it all, what's the point?
Right.
You got to play those best teams if you want to be the best anyway.
I mean, I think in the sense I had talked to a coach from a school, and though they may not necessarily win state, but a deep playoff run can really build some momentum for a program too. I mean, rather than seeing teams get knocked out, they make the playoffs, everyone's excited. You get knocked out the first round. I mean, what good does it do you? But you make the playoffs and you win a couple games and you get kids excited. You get kind of more community involvement coming out to the games. And I mean, I think if seeding can improve and it can help some teams out in that sense, I mean, I think that is beneficial to have. And I know we're looking at just one region here, but you could look at other regions, and I'm sure that factor would be the difference maker of teams getting in and getting out of the playoffs. So
yeah, that would make the biggest difference, is who gets in and who misses by 1 point, or that kind of thing. That would be.
Yeah, I guess I look at that and just think, I think you could add a third level and then not be, it'd be fine. But I just want to know, what kind of difference does it make? Are you still going? Is this number 1 seed still going to be blowing people out by 30? 1, 2 seeds still blowing. I think what we say last week, 1, 2, and 3 seeds basically winning by 30 plus.
Something like that.
Is that going to change that? So you add the extra level, it shuffles who gets in, but a little bit. But I don't know that in the end that it really changes the overall schematic.
I don't know. I guess you look at like Tenora matching up against Cary. They could have matched up against somebody else, and maybe they would have gotten an extra game in, or. I guess it does shift who you match up against. Maybe Cary would have ended up being stuck playing Patrick Henry week 1, and that would have been different for them. Like,
I think what you mentioned about having, I don't know, I guess I'll just say, you shuffling teams around and having, maybe a little better matchup, but I don't know. Either way.
Keith, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, everybody had valid points, but yeah, I agree with this. If you can add the strength of schedule, I think would help out. Well, like Coach Fairchild said, will it help out in the end? I mean, we'll need a few years sample size to figure that out. But it's anything that's an improvement on what we currently have. So
I think so.
I mean, if this helps out with your matchups as far as quality of opponent, and I think everybody here would all be for that, and then some. So.
What I started to say with what you said, AJ, is kind of like the first 3 games, your non-conference games, you couldn't line up PUD schools,
right?
Just so you get wins.
That's what I wanted to bring up too.
If you do that, you're going to want to play a Liberty Center. You're going to want to play an Archbold. You're going to want to play and I'm just talking about like Tenora. You're going to want to play an Otsego. You want to play some good schools. So if you get victories there, that strength of schedule end up helping you out with those as they win. Their win percentage is going to help you out.
But you're going to have to be careful though, because like Sonora's week 1 game is always against Liberty Center. Traditionally, that would gain them absolutely nothing.
Correct.
So you have to find somebody that matches fairly equally. So that way, if you did get that win, it helps you out. Because, playing PUD schools is not going to help you, and playing somebody you're going to get blown out by is not going to help you. You're going to have to play good football games in those first 3 weeks.
I think we've seen a lot of teams take 1 or 2 routes, especially in those non-conference games, because I don't think they don't hold as much, I don't think, as importance as they used to, because there's 16 seeds that make a region. So, I mean, all you got to do is win a handful of conference games, and you're pretty much in for the most part, as long as your conference is decent. So, and I think a lot of teams were either seeing 1 or 2 things: is you play a gauntlet of a schedule to prepare you for playoffs and prepare you for a tough conference play, or we've seen a lot of teams too. They play a cupcake schedule and just try to coast through and stay healthy, pad the stats a little bit, and go on their way. So, I mean, I don't really think we've seen, fairly too many teams that have kind of played, somewhere in the middle of the road. It's usually been kind of one extreme or the other for a lot of the time. So.
Yep. I mean, Fairview, I guess, played what, too? They play Wasion, Bryan,
and Delta.
So,
which I would say that's pretty
competitive.
That's competitive, somewhere in the middle. But, it's interesting to talk about, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Something a little bit different than the seeding. I know seeding's always a hot topic, but this is just kind of changing the points and, how they are seeded. So,
speaking of those first 3 games and having the impact, I heard a rumor, and now this is just a rumor, that Liberty Center and Napoleon may not be renewing their contract next year. That was something that was thrown around at the game on Friday night. Several people had said that wasn't going to be renewed, and I don't know if that's true. I'd love to hear confirmation on that, but that could open the door for a week 2 match.
The matchup we've been talking about.
I would like to see LC play someone from the MAC, though.
That would be cool. We're talk about that
MAC,
too.
someone from the MAC or Grove.
Yeah. I mean, why not pick up somebody and go down to the MAC and play our Versailles or, maybe not a Coldwater, but, something like that. Go down there.
Coldwater? I'd play Coldwater.
I think it'd be cool to see a Liberty Center Coldwater matchup. You get to know right where you match up in the MAC right off the start of the season.
You lose that first game of the season, and whichever team, you lose that first game of the season, it definitely puts a little bird in your butt to get moving for the rest of the season.
Yep.
All right. Well, that concludes our hot takes. Again, continue to send those in. We like to talk about these, and we spend a lot of time. Yeah. We only had 4 of them, but geez, we spent a lot of time talking about these. But again, thanks to BSN Sports for sponsoring this segment. So we're gonna take a break, and then we'll be right back with round 3 game predictions and more. BSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Optimal Performance Fitness is your go-to gym in Northwest Ohio, providing group fitness classes, personal training, and sports performance sessions for area athletes. Located in Napoleon, Ohio. Give them a call today at 419-438-7265.
Benton Stevens Body Shop is your #1 voted auto body shop in Northwest Ohio. We are your experts on all makes and models and are the only Chrysler, Ford, and GM certified collision repair center in the area. Located in Jewel, Ohio. Give us a call today at 419-497-3111 to schedule your free estimate. Come check out the Benton Stevens Body Shop difference.
Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. Marco's Pizza is honored to sponsor NWO Sports, serving your pizza of choice in Northwest Ohio. Defiance, Archbold, Wasion, Delta, Bryan, Napoleon, Paulding, and Montpelier. Order online at marcos.com today. RE/MAX Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance, we have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. For 26 years, Burkholder Taxidermy has been Northwest Ohio's trusted full-service taxidermist. From game heads to lifelike mounts, we provide exceptional quality and craftsmanship. Preserve your memories with Burkholder Taxidermy, where experience meets excellence. Located at 19331 Buckskin Road, Defiance, Ohio. Give them a call at 419-782-9538. Fairchild Family Chiropractic aims to help families to get better together in the least invasive way possible. Dr. Fairchild focuses on the neck using the Blair technique and Palmer package, adjusting to correct spinal misalignments. Located in Defiance, Ohio. Call Dr. Fairchild today at 419-576-5070 to schedule an appointment. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. Jimenez Basketball Academy strives to create an atmosphere to cultivate basketball fundamentals in Northwest Ohio youth athletes, offering one-on-one sessions, group sessions, speed and agility training, and much more. Located in Pettisville, Ohio. Call Coach Jesse today at 419-551-8105. Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on tenorarams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at nwoball.com. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer. Trueland Equipment and Salesman Lauren Brown are your go-to for John Deere equipment in Archbold, Ohio. Mowers, compact tractors, skid loaders, and more. Your sales expert on commercial turf and CCE sales. Give Lauren a call today at 419-445-1565. Looking to remodel or expand your home? Building with Faith Construction specializes in quality remodeling services and additions to make your dream space a reality. From general construction to detailed renovations, trust Building with Faith to bring experience, reliability, and craftsmanship to every project. Give them a call today at 419-980-8850. Start your day off right at Paulding Pancake House, serving up delicious breakfast, lunch, and dinner from Tuesday through Sunday. It's your go-to spot for home-style meals at any time of day. Swing by and enjoy everything from classic pancakes to hearty lunch and dinner options. There's something for everyone at the Paulding Pancake House. Craving a local favorite? Head to Ensign's Pub, where you'll find the best hot beef sandwiches and famous knockers in town. Whether you're celebrating after the big game or just need a great meal, Ensign's has you covered. Stop by for great food, cold drinks, and good company. Located on 611 Ottawa Avenue in Defiance, open Tuesday through Saturday. We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to round 3 game predictions. So we're going to take a look at what teams are on the slate. We just have 5 of them, and we'll kind of give our breakdown in our picks here. So we're going to kick things off. First game is the 13 seed Napoleon, 7-5, travels to the #1 seed Perkins, Sandusky Perkins, 11-1. We had briefly kind of brought this game up a little bit earlier in some of the other segments, but I think this one, I think Perkins is going to take it. Perkins is a really, really good football team. I don't know, like we had said earlier, that Napoleon necessarily gets blown out, or what was the term that they used? I don't even know. Smacked. I don't think they get smacked. I think Perkins may win this one by 21 to 28 points. I think Napoleon makes it competitive. Because Napoleon's played really well through the playoffs here, but at the end of the day, I think Perkins gets it done.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, Logan. I think Napoleon has a lot of pride going into this game. They have a little bit of momentum as well. Whether or not they can defeat Perkins, I doubt it, but hey, they have the talent of any of the teams that's remaining that can defeat Perkins, but in the end, I'm taking Perkins.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Perkins here. I said they're going to get smacked a bit, so I think Perkins does some damage.
You guys said it. Like I said, when I said earlier, Perkins is through 6 shutouts this year. They're scoring over 40 points a game in a lot of their games. I think it's going to be too much for Napoleon. So on Perkins.
And Matthew had Perkins as well, so Perkins across the board. The next game, the 3 seed Oak Harbor 12-0 travels. Oh, no, they don't travel to. They face off against the 2 seed Liberty Center 12-0. And this is going to be, I don't think this game's going to be close, to be honest. Last year, these two teams matched up in the same exact game. Matched up last year at Oak Harbor. This year, they're playing at Maumee High School. But I think Liberty just plays too physical football for Oak Harbor. I think Liberty's going to win this one big, similar to what they did last year. Oak Harbor's more of a passing team, a little bit more flashy. I know they have good athletes, but I think history repeats itself, and I think Liberty ends up making it to the regional final.
Yep. Last year, I was actually trying to find some stats from last year. That Mike Lalonde was the quarterback, I believe, from Oak Harbor, and that poor fella took a beating. He's probably still
back this year.
He's probably still bruised from last year's game. So hopefully he fares a little bit better health-wise than he did last year. But, yeah, Liberty Center all day in this matchup again.
Knowing that he's back this year, he might be scared after the way he got beat on last year by Liberty Center. I'm going with Liberty Center again here. Don't think running clock this time, but I'll give it 3 scores.
Well, I watched a little bit of film on Oak Harbor. They like to throw like a middle screen to their running back a lot. A lot of their clips, they were just throwing this little middle screen to the running back out of the backfield, and they were breaking that off for big runs. But, last year, Liberty Center totaled up 526 yards against these guys. But Oak Harbor, I think, threw the ball a lot more last year, but they graduated one of their big receivers, that big kid that was Howard was his last name, I think.
I think he had a heck of a catch in the end zone.
Yes.
And 9 catches. I think the thing here says 9 catches for 115 yards, but he's gone. So, but when you look on paper, I mentioned this last week, you look on paper, these guys match up almost perfect. They're both averaging right at 44 points a game. Oak Harbor's never been held below 31 points in a game. And 31 twice, and at 31-27 at Eastwood. And they've only been held below 40 points 4 times. So this offense can throw the points on the board. So they're going to test Liberty Center's defense. We're going to see how good Liberty Center's defense really is. But I think you're going to see a lot of the same we saw this past week. They're just going to set back and say, okay, go ahead and throw your underneath crap, and then we're just going to tackle you. And so I think Liberty Center does a fine job here. Not sure what the score will be, but Liberty Center is going to win this game.
And Liberty Center's defensive backs and backfield are very, very solid. You got guys like Cam Colley, Grady Miller back there. They're really, really good. And, it only helps them out, too, is when they're getting pressure from the front 7. And like you said, if they're not blitzing a lot, there's a lot of man beaters and, just winning your one-on-one matchups. And I'm sure they probably have guys green dogging, linebackers or whoever adding onto the play, things break down and blitzing. So, I think Liberty Center takes care of business.
And a small public service announcement. I hear that there's limited parking at this venue.
I heard that too.
You might want to get there about 5:15 if you wanted a parking spot at all. So
no parking at Ball Me?
I guess not. Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Everybody that I've heard said there's
Plus
limited.
Plus them in, LC.
And Matthew had Liberty Center as well. Next game is going to be the NWO Sports Game of the Week, and we will be attending, hopefully here per confirmation. But it's the 4-seed Patrick Henry, 10-2, heading to Findlay to face off against the 1-seed Hopewell Loudon, 11-0. Going to be a really good game. Patrick Henry's favored on Drew Pastor as well, I think by 4 points or something like that. But I'm excited to see Patrick Henry play. Really, really solid. I think Patrick Henry's more battle-tested. Like I said earlier, too, I think Patrick Henry is the favorite to win this region. I think if they get through the 1-seed Hopewell Loudon, and then next round they either face against an Ottawa Hills or Bluffton winner, but I think Patrick Henry takes care of business, and give me the Patriots.
Yes, I'm looking forward to this game as well. We'll get to go back to Logan's home field there, where is
Donnell Stadium, yeah.
Donnell Stadium there. So
it's I like it. I mean, it's for playing high school games at. Press box is huge. It's nice for media. And
we went there last year, I believe, didn't we?
Yep. Grove and Bluffton Part 2.
Yep. So
Christmas in October, November.
nice venue there. But this should be a really good game. Looking forward to it. We haven't seen Patrick Henry play. So looking forward to them. But I think Patrick Henry takes this one over Hopewell Loudon.
Yep, get to see what Lincoln Krieger is really made of, see him in person. So going with Patrick Henry.
This is another rematch from last year. I think you mentioned these guys played last year in the playoffs. Patrick Henry won at 26-14. Just reading the thing here, Patrick Henry controlled possession for the most of the second half, 15-26 of the 24 minutes to hold them off. And, so Hopewell Loudon, Ohio running back, Braylon Martinez returns. So we'll see how PH holds up against that. But, PH has been throwing points on the board, scoring 35 points plus a game. I got PH.
And we saw PH has played solid. Talk about a great running back for Hopewell Loudon. Well, Cary that's all they do is run the football, but they're very physical as well. They had a 240-pound running back, and PH stopped them, no problem. guys like Grant Smith, Kevin Kreider. You got guys stopping the run game. They faced a tough Liberty Center team, so they're accustomed to facing really good ground and pound attacks. So I think they handle it well. And again, Matthew picked Patrick Henry, so Patrick Henry across the board from all of us. A couple fun things too about Donnell Stadium. I like going back to Findlay. Finley's a good town, and obviously I went to college there and played there too. But it's got to be the only football field that the away bleachers are inside the track.
I still don't know how that happens.
So that's something unique, and that's a big stadium. I mean, I think the max capacity can hold like 5,000 to 8,000 people. So I mean, it can hold a lot of people. Yeah. And then the other thing is, I can never understand the northwest corner of the end zone is on a slant. It's not level. I could never understand that. You know how many fades that we threw when I was playing there, and guys would try to catch it in the corner, and then they're running down this hill. I'm like, that's a safety hazard.
Yeah, trying to catch that the run on the
right
track.
by the bell there. So yeah, I could never understand why when they built that field, if they must have just ran out of room a little bit or whatever. But the very corner of that end zone is on a dip, and I could never understand that. But it's just kind of a couple of unique things about that field.
The people that owned that corner back there didn't want to sell, so they had to squeeze it in a little tight. I don't know.
But I don't know. Maybe we'll have to stop and get something. I always like going to Miller's Meats. That's a place I went to a lot.
We stopped there last year.
The barbecue place there, and we stopped there last year. So I don't know. We'll have to talk and see if we want to stop somewhere before. But Findlay's got a lot of really good restaurants, so make a trip out of it. But get out there and watch some football for sure. Next game is the 4-seed Mohawk, 10-2, faces off against the 1-seed Columbus Grove, 12-0. This one's played at Fostoria High School. I believe is it the high school Fostoria Memorial Stadium. I don't know if it's a community stadium, but they play in Fostoria. But Columbus Grove being 12-0, they're playing some of the best football they've played all year long. They've got the quarterback question answered. Kyle Hopkins is doing a fabulous job, and I think that's really going to propel them to a lot of success here. I think they win this one easily. I think it was a bigger challenge last round against the Lima Central Catholic team, which they already faced once, and I do. I think it's tough to play a team twice, and they took care of business against them again. And I think they breezed through this one, so give me the Bulldogs.
Taking the Dogs.
Yeah, I think Columbus takes care of business on this one. I don't even think it's close. I think they, like you said, had a tougher matchup last week that they coasted through, it seemed like. So I think they're going to continue that trend this week.
I hope Coach Schaefer can get it done. I'm going with the Bulldogs.
And Matthew had Columbus Grove. The last matchup here, and this one was really getting a lot of us. It's the 15 seed. That's right, 15 seed Delphos St. John's at 5-7, facing off against the 11 seed and Lipick 8-4. I don't know. I juggled this one around for quite some time. I went back and forth, looked at Drew Pasteur. Drew Pasteur has Delphos St. I think they had what they have favored. Let me see real quick. They have Delphos St. John's picked to win by 5. And after all the consideration, I think I'm going to take Delphos St. John's. I think I got a lot of momentum. They beat some really good teams. They beat the 2 seed USV. They beat Tiffin Calvert, too, another really solid team. They've played in the MAC, so they know what some of the top teams are, and they're battle-tested, and I think they get it done against the Lipick. I could see it going either way. I mean, I really could, but I think Delphos St. John's ends up with a win.
Yeah, I think we talked about this one during our last break for about 5 minutes, and I struggled with this one when I was making my picks at work, and I'm like, originally I had Lipick, but I want Delphos St. John's, all the points that Logan said. And then we talked about it here during break. I did a little bit more research. I was like, boy, I think I'm going to take Delphos St. John's, so I'm taking St. John's for that reason.
AJ, who are you picking? You haven't revealed your pick
You want me to
yet.
go first, or?
No, I'll go ahead and go. I originally had Delphos St. John's, and then kind of looking at some of the stats that Lipick has been favored to lose the last 2 games and pulled it off. So I switched my pick to Lipick. But Delphos St. John playing in the MAC, just knowing what it's like to play against physical teams and continue to compete, and seeing what they did throughout the first 2 weeks, being the underdog and everything they've done so far, I'm going to go with Delphos.
Ooh. Well, I'm going with Delphos St. John's as well. I think this game comes down to turnovers, and Delphos St. John's is going to be on the plus side of that. And so Delphos St. John's for me.
And Matthew had Lipick, so Matthew's the only one that went against the grain. So it could pay off huge for him. He's only down 2 points, or 2 wins. So we'll see how that game pans out. Well, guys, that concludes our game predictions. We're on to final closing thoughts.
Man, just looking forward to going to watch some more football. Last Friday night was awesome, and thank you, Logan, for getting us the passes to get in. To thank you to Liberty Center for letting us be there. Caleb and those guys letting us go down there. Awesome, and I just looking forward to doing more of the same.
Yeah. We, like as Coach Fairchild said, we're privileged to that Logan does this and gets us in for sideline passes. It's a whole different view and aspect. You see the coaching interactive with the players and everything. I mean, we don't sit up high and see the movement of the players and whatnot, but just to be down there on the sidelines and just see all that, hear all that is just like, give me a helmet and pads and put me in, coach. It's just an awesome feeling.
Yeah, we really do get to see a different side of football being down on the sidelines with them that most people haven't seen or don't see. Being down with the team and watching their interactions, Keith. That's right. Like, seeing how the players and the coaches interact is a big part of what football is like. Yep. And you don't ever get to see that up in the stands. You can kind of see it, but you don't get to be a part of it. And that really gets to see, Coach over here making predictions, and you kind of hear Coach Muller tell his kid the same exact thing as he comes off the sideline. It's like, man, it's cool to pick up on those things. But just from my perspective, I got to really give the guys at LC Tigers Live a shout out for the hospitality last week.
Absolutely.
We got there, and Mark immediately starts talking to us and brings us up in the press box with them. And I mean, he's showing me all kinds of things they do. He's asking me for
awesome.
advice on things, and we're not really like rival broadcasting groups, but like
absolutely not.
We're all good friends. We all get along very well, bounce ideas off each other.
Definitely,
it's an awesome community to be part of this kind of situation that we're in, and continue to work with those guys is awesome. So thank you very much.
It was neat, AJ. We got there and we saw Mark right away. Kind of talked to Mark, and we went upstairs to see him. Nobody was up there, so I always go down and look around, and happened to see Mark right away. And Mark started talking. The next thing you know, him and AJ are talking tech geek stuff.
Talking shop.
Yeah. I got out and then went upstairs, and Dan, I'm sorry, I don't remember Dan's last name, but he was up there, and he's the techie guy too. He even said, he goes, I don't really get into the sports. I'm over here for the tech stuff.
He did. Yeah, he did say that.
But yeah, AJ was over there showing the young man they had with him how to do some stuff, and they were bouncing ideas off each other. About Mark was asking how he does this ticker at the top, and so it was really neat. It's just a great community to be a part of. Once you get involved with this, and then meeting the other guys from different stuff, it's really neat. And I still beginning of the season when we met those guys at Columbus Grove, and they referred us back to like the Anchorman thing.
That was great. Yeah, Miles and his crew. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had all hit it on the money. I mean, this is the best time of year. I get so excited for this, and I've actually been probably more busy now ever, like with all the football playoff graphics and highlight videos and everything I keep putting out there. Like my brain is going like 24/7. Like I'm on social media all the time, posting all kinds of content and, doing those highlight videos. I love doing those. So this week I'll get a bunch of good ones of Patrick Henry kids and just continue to, appreciate people sharing those. And again, I love networking with people. I met another guy that was taking highlight videos too. His name was Braden, but he was telling me about his experiences and how he's a freelance videographer, and he was able to go down and film the Clemson and Georgia game earlier in the year, and so I mean he's just kind of telling me about that, and who knows, maybe I can try that sometime, and like all kinds of cool stuff, and just to get to meet different fans and coaches, like talk to Coach Rakes and talk to some of the assistants before the game, and everyone's just so welcoming, and it's like what I always say too. If you guys ever see us in public, say hi to us. I mean, we love talking to people, and we really appreciate the support. And one thing, I had my phone pulled up here as I was looking. I got a notification. I had another fan that said, "Guys, I love listening to your broadcast." And he's another fan from Liberty Center too. So I mean, just awesome to see all the feedback we get from people all the time, and it makes it really worth it. So like I said, I am going 110% on this. I love going all out for everything. Love promoting the kids. Love putting content out there. Love making this fun and enjoyable. Like I really want to help to try to make football great. Make football great again, I guess.
Just hope we're making a difference.
Yeah, right. Making a difference, and making it enjoyable for people, whether you're a fan, a player, a coach. Being in the know of what's going on, and helping promote the athletes. And I just think it's really exciting. So it's cool. I mean, kids are like when I gave that shirt to Brody Williams. All the kids were like, "Oh, so excited!" I was down there, and I'm like, "That's all that." And I was just excited. I was nervous to give him the shirt too. Like I get nervous for all that stuff. But I really appreciate all the support from everyone, and we have a really, really good time with it.
Yep.
So it's something I look forward to every week, and all the games too. So
Definitely.
All right. Well, I want to give a thanks to all of our sponsors: BSN Sports, Optimal Performance Fitness, Titan Sports, Marco's Pizza, Remax Realty of Defiance, Bat Stevens Body Shop, Burkholder Taxidermy, DeLarber Concrete and Hauling, Fairchild Family Chiropractic, Drop Zone Pizzeria, Tenor Rams Live, Jimenez Basketball Academy, NWO Basketball, Trueland Equipment and Lauren Brown, Building with Faith Construction, Ensign's Pub, and Paulding Pancake House. So be sure to check out all those businesses. I'd also like to give a special thanks to Jeff Batt for allowing us to use his amazing facility at Bat & Stevens Body Shop for today's podcast. So if you hit a deer, bring your car on out here. So there's a lot of them running now. Even though that disease was going around, I think they've been picking up quite a bit. So be sure to call and schedule, get in early. And stay tuned for the next NWO Sports Podcast in the near future. And thanks for watching.